with a lot of laughs, heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished 15 years of broadcast excellence. Now in our 16th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. "11 days till the election. Kamala, Hillary, Drudge, and the rest of the Dems have no argument to win on. So they've done what they've always done. Like the last 16 GOP presidential candidates, they accused Trump of being a fascist, unstable Hitler wannabe. God bless Kamala, because I won't. I was the one. It was one thing to cackle away the dopey questions of The View, Stephen Colbert, but another when she interviewed by Brett Baier, Anderson Cooper, Dana Bash, and others who dared challenge her. Imagine that. Kamala froze and wouldn't even try to dig herself out. She changed the subject to how horrible Donald was and how unstable he was, and how great Joe Biden was and how competent he was. Of course, one question doesn't come up. Kamala, if Joe Biden was competent and a spectacular president, that you said he was, then why are you the candidate? Anyone? Crickets? There you go. Crickets. And she didn't have it either. Fox News has now been upstaged by the Democrats and the MSM in their criticism of Kamala. From David Axelrod, the managing personnel behind Barack Obama, to Dana Bash, to MSNBC, there's hardly a word said that isn't a disparaging criticism of the feckless Kamala Harris campaign. Even Joe Biden won't campaign for her. If Trump wins as expected, watch what the Dems do. They may just make 1-6-21 into the riots. They have locked up over 1,300 conservatives for the last 3 years, many without trials or lawyers. Hi there, my name is Dave Weinbaum. It's October the 25th, and my wife is here, Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Hi, Lisa, or the Law, as she likes to be called. I don't know why it's a little bit stringent on me. What am I?
Well, then quit saying it.
Well, you love it.
If it bothers you, don't say it.
It does bother.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Just calm down over there.
Boy, you're snippy. You're always snippy.
Somebody yelled at me this morning.
Who yelled?
You did.
How? When? When did I yell?
During the 3 things. While I was
recording.
We
walked out in the middle of one, and while you're talking, I'm trying to figure it out, and you then you walked out.
Too slow, Weinbaum. Pick up the pace a little.
It's miserable how I get pushed. Anyways, if they pushed Kamala that much, she'd probably be a decent candidate, but no. Anyways, I'm here also with JP Maxwell. Hey, JP.
Hey, good morning.
And by the way, I gave you a shot at doing something, and we didn't do it.
I got it.
Let's hit that last thing. Yes.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yes, it's Friday morning. My monologue is done. It's late October, and I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt, and so is J.P. Maxwell, and my wife is naturally overdressed.
It's just weird this time of year. I mean, we actually had, normally our summers are hot and humid. Yeah. We actually had a period where it was pretty mild. We're getting some of the summer weather, it seems like, now at the end of October. It's weird.
It is amazing. In fact, they're predicting like 80s in most of the country for Halloween.
Wow. When
have we seen that?
It's usually cold and rainy.
Yeah, and ugly.
Yes.
Just ugly time,
Yes.
I'm out there playing golf as much as I can, believe me. And, as I'm doing my hat thing, can you play that one thing? What do we got, 2 minutes? Can you play that one thing with the little baby?
Oh, yeah, give me a second.
I want you to play that when you get a chance. But we've got a great show for you. Let me do the announcements here. We've got J.J. Bradshaw coming on, any second now. Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. Things are getting hot in Israel. Let me tell you, there's looks like Iran and Israel are going to go to war now. Chris Adamo, the expert on Marxism. Bill Hardwick, who hasn't been on for a while. Let's see. Mark and Pat McCloskey. And then that would be it for the whole show. And then you go party or do what you do. But play that, please.
Pai. Meu Deus do céu, gente. Ela tá feliz, meu Deus do céu. Bebê. Mas, gente do céu. Nenê do pai. Mas, meu Deus do céu, gente.
That is a 32-week baby in the womb reacting to her father's voice, smiling at him. And speaking of somebody smiling at somebody, well, I think I've got somebody smiling at me right now. And yeah. Anyways, this man who is wearing a funny little kippah or yarmulke that happens to be tinfoil. He does wear a large size tinfoil hat because he's 256 years old, and he goes way back to revolutionary times. He's got so much knowledge he has to keep it all together. But today he's just got the small version of it so that he can share with us. Please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. I didn't do that. Sorry. I know how you love it.
Dave.
Good morning, and I know how you love this one too, because this is the one we used in the first place.
Oh, right? That's the original. Yeah, I like that the best.
Memories or what?
It does. Dave, right. That last clip that you showed.
Ahead of yours.
That last clip that you showed reminded me. How can anybody be pro-abortion after seeing that? After seeing ultrasound in the womb of a baby smiling with his daddy's voice, how could you possibly be pro-choice?
It breaks the argument that this is not a living being. It just breaks it apart. And it shows how beautiful these kids are. And, we're all made in the image of God, supposedly. And God can't like that. He's not putting these babies in there. And I mean, he's not the one that's actually having, sex or anything, but he's the guy that wants people to have babies. That's how we survive.
That child in the womb is much more alive than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, either one. Say your monologue touched on Kamala, so I'll just start with Kamala, kind of give this some continuity. Okay. CNN did a town hall Wednesday night with Anderson Cooper, and my expectations were pretty low. I thought that Anderson Cooper would throw her a bunch of softballs. He did not. He actually asked the pointed questions that all of us have been asking.
Yeah.
Asking her about policy. And as is her norm, she spouted what they call word salad, but also gave no answers to the questions he asked. She gave answers to questions that he didn't ask, and they were a jumbled mass of nothing.
Wait, and then she, every time she turned on, Donald Trump he's a real risk. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi.
Well, she compared him to Hitler, and later called him a fascist. And I would argue that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are much more fascist than Donald Trump would ever consider being. What does a fascist do? Well, he goes outside the law. He makes rules that will damage his enemies. This sounds like Harris and Biden to me. Take a look at the DOJ weaponization that started with Obama. If you're going to look for a textbook definition of fascism, this is it.
Sure.
So, like Saul Alinsky says in Rules for Radicals, I encourage everyone to read that book. You always blame your opponent on the sins that you have committed. And these folks continue to do that. Now, that town hall.
That was a great plug for Chris Adamo, who's going to be on this show.
By all means.
Following the rabbi at 8:40.
By all means, read Rules for Defeating Radicals. I have. And it gives a play-by-play on defeating Saul Alinsky's Marxist plan. But back to Anderson Cooper Town Hall, she was asked about inflation. She was asked about the border. She was asked about price gouging. She didn't answer any of those. She claimed that Donald Trump had only built 2% of the border wall. Well, Dave, it would be completed had it not been lawsuits and congressional action by the Democrats that slowed the thing down. It would be coast to coast right now had the Democrats not thrown their weight behind stopping it. To top that off, the Biden administration sold a whole bunch of those materials as surplus. So the net loss to the federal government was many, many millions of dollars. And that blood is on the hands of Harris and Biden.
Yeah.
The reason I speak of Harris and Biden together, they're joined at the hip.
Well, I think you're one short there. I think whenever you talk about them, you got to talk about Obama.
Well, I think Obama is the puppet master for this thing. Him and his cabal of Marxists. He's as anti-American a president as we ever had. Remember
that was his idea. Hope and change. That's him going to the Islamic countries and begging for forgiveness for this great sin of America. Remember that? Giving Iran all that money at first.
When asked, well, you had 3.5 years to do all of these changes that you are so vaguely describing and calling policy. I'm glad you lead a joyful life, but that doesn't help our country much. She had nothing as far as policy is concerned. Her legislative priorities were none. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who's given so many rallies and spoken about so many things and is capable of ad hoc responses to questions.
He's off the cuff. He doesn't need a teleprompter.
He doesn't. The man knows his stuff.
She demands a teleprompter. when she goes somewhere. She wanted a teleprompter to go to the Catholic fundraiser that Trump talked at.
This is entirely by rote as far as she is concerned, and they're the same lame talking points.
President, you have to have moments that are not scripted. A lot of it is not scripted. You have to have concepts that you can make up and deliver to other countries. They have to respect you. They won't and don't respect her. There's no doubt about it. They didn't work with or respect Biden, and they still don't.
The Harris and Biden administration has been flaccid on so many fronts. Our enemies don't respect us. They don't fear us. Our allies don't trust us anymore, particularly Israel. If you look at the lukewarm response that Netanyahu has got from these clowns, Israel ought to be our firmest ally, and in my opinion is. Them and the Brits are the two that stand up. These folks have pooped all over both of them. Yeah. And they're going to pay the price for that at the polls, I believe. Those of us who watch foreign policy can claim that this thing has been a disaster from day number one. If you look, we wouldn't have a war in Ukraine had Donald Trump been in the White House. We wouldn't have an invasion of Israel. We wouldn't have Lebanon firing rockets across the border. None of that would happen because we had a strong executive branch who said, in essence, and I'm sure in a quiet room, you do this, bad things are going to happen to you.
And don't forget Afghanistan. I know you didn't forget it. You just
of course not. Afghanistan may be the biggest debacle.
That was the beginning of all this. I mean, he took that perfectly controlled situation away from Donald Trump and completely destroyed that. You know, it's incredible. But when he first got into office, he eliminated everything that was good about the Trump administration, and whether it meant destruction to the country, which it did or not. He was more interested in destroying Trump's presidency than actually doing his job. I just wonder how much of that was because of Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton.
I'm sure that most of that is orchestrated by Obama and Obama's Marxist cronies. No doubt in my mind. Biden is Obama number 2, except he did it rather badly. And Harris is Biden number 3, and she's doing it worse. Mel Gibson had a quote on TMZ the other day, which gave me a chuckle. And I quote, "Kamala has the IQ of a fence post," end quote. Now, Mel Gibson's an actor, okay, and he's a conservative actor, and okay, I discount most things that actors say because as a group, they're idiots. But this one struck home because she does have the IQ of a fence post. As a matter of fact, I've got some corner posts on my place that are damn sight smarter than she is.
Well, at least they can do their job and shut up when they need to, right?
Yeah, they at least hold a fence up, and she's not capable of doing even that.
Really didn't hold the border up, did she?
Dave, if you look at the totality of her campaign, it reminds me a little bit of Hillary Clinton's because Hillary did nothing to campaign. She campaigned badly. She sat down and waited for folks to vote for her. And of course, they didn't. And of course, the folks that were advising her said, "Hey, baby, you got this in the bag. You don't have to do anything." Well, the other side of that coin is Kamala is being advised by her Marxist leaders. Hey, the way to go to win this thing is to beat up Donald J. Trump. Well, it's playing very badly.
It's not
people
working.
Get tired of hearing that. I get tired of hearing, "Oh, it's all Donald J. Trump's fault," when there's things that are absolutely not related to him at all.
Let me tell you why that is. Donald Trump was an unknown figure back in 2016 regarding politics. Yeah, he was known throughout the entertainment world, but everybody could take a shot at him then and say, "This guy's an idiot. He's a dope. He's gonna be like a fascist." Blah blah blah. Back then, they could say that and get away with it. Well, not anymore. He's got 4 solid years, and they had to cheat so bad to get Joe Biden in. And Joe Biden at this point was somewhat competitive. I don't think, despite the polls, I don't think it's competitive anymore because now they're watching these people like crazy in terms of the cheating and I'm not sure they're going to get away with it.
Oh, probably not. Probably not, Dave. There are going to be about 100,000 poll watchers, a greater number than what there was the last time. And a lot of these folks are lawyers. Yeah. A lot of these folks are lawyers. They're not going to put up with a bunch of shenanigans from leftist poll workers. Now, here in the state of Missouri, well, I don't know about St. Louis and Kansas City, but here in outstate Missouri, I think our elections are fair. I think we have people in those polling places that genuinely want to do the job well.
Did you say Missouri or here? Because Kansas City and St. Louis, they're in areas there, I would not trust them at all.
No, I do not. And I'll bet their shenanigans will go on. Will they get caught? I think it's a much greater likelihood than there was before. Sure. You mentioned polling numbers a moment ago, and you and I don't believe the polls an awful lot. I think mostly they're rigged. A lot of it depends on how you pose the question, so as to get a desirable.
Well, a lot of it also is because us supporters of Donald Trump don't necessarily want to put it out there in a poll just in case there's a problem.
Yeah,
and they're coming after us. Why give them that kind of ammunition? You know what I'm saying?
As far as they're concerned, I'm John Doe from anywhere USA, and I'm going to vote for my dog.
By the way, you're a much handsomer person than John Doe, because I know John Doe.
Oh, do you?
Oh, he's a good guy.
Well, give him my best regard.
He's only like about 40, but he likes Trump, but he's not going anywhere with that. He's going to vote, but he's not going to tell a lot of people about it. Yeah. Here, you got to vote early, right?
It's done.
Yeah, you're done. I'm done. How about everybody else out there?
Well, I would hope so. There's a very good reason for voting early.
How about my wife over here? She's got to get out there. Have you voted yet?
No.
When are you going to do it?
I'll do it.
Okay, that's not a win, honey.
Yeah, I thought I might take my mom.
Take your mom to vote.
I thought I might take my mom, yes.
Great. That's a good idea. Take your mom to vote.
The polling numbers, like I said, we don't pay a lot of attention to them, but the Wall Street Journal, which is not known to be a right-wing outfit, polled 1,500 voters, and this was released last Wednesday. 47% want to vote for Trump, 45% for Harris. These are folks that are registered voters who claim that they are going to go to the polls.
That's a big sign coming from them.
Well, yeah, it's 2-point lead as far as they're concerned, and I didn't expect that from them. But CNBC, Forbes, Rasmussen, all have favorable Trump polling by a point or two. There was a Marist poll, which is more or less a neutral poll. I tend to believe what they have to say because they don't have much in the way of political inclinations. Gave Trump +2 in North Carolina. Yeah. They gave Georgia as tied. I don't particularly believe that, but okay.
Trump up in certain areas.
And Arizona gave Trump a +1. Well, why do we care about this polling data? Because we're mighty close to the election, and there's a bunch of so-called independents out there. They're not the same as undecideds, but they are independents who would claim they're not going to know who they're going to vote for till they get in the polling place. In my opinion, that's stupid, but okay. You ought to research these things a little better than that. But the polling is suggesting that Trump has a slight lead. I think what we're going to see on Election Day, however, is a considerable roll towards Trump. Again, us conservatives aren't real happy to give our opinions to polling people because polling people are generally a left-wing outfit, and you don't know that your polling is going to be accurately recorded in any case. Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Committee leader, has subpoenaed Biden and Harris administration. And the question that exists in this subpoena is, how much money has been transferred to illegal aliens out of the Office of Refugee Resettlement? I didn't even know there was such a thing until I read about it.
Wow.
Office of Refugee Resettlement. That office has stonewalled Jordan. He had sent them a letter some weeks back, and they've stonewalled him, as all of this administration does. They don't want the facts out. So a subpoena has been issued. What interested me about this is that Judicial Watch has also filed Freedom of Information Act requests and been stonewalled. So they have filed suit as well against the Biden-Harris administration to release this data. Now, if you recall, Homeland Security said, yeah, well, we're kind of broke because, we won't have enough money for disaster relief after 2 hurricanes had ravaged the eastern part of our country. Yeah. And why is that? Well, we gave a whole bunch of money to illegals. Okay, I'd like to know how much money and how it was given.
Biden called that a lie. His own guy said it.
Yes. So we have an executive branch here that is so clearly corrupt. It boggles the mind that they don't hide this better, but perhaps when something is this big and shining, it's difficult to hide it. But Jim Jordan, my yarmulke is off to you because I think you're doing the right things. Yeah, it's a political showboat. I get it. But it may at some point release some data that might be relevant.
It's not just Trump we have to elect. We got to go for the House of Representatives. We got to go for the Senate. We got to go for state races too.
Yes, all the downstream races.
The more we have of ourselves that are legitimate conservatives, not the rhinos, we can have a huge effect on positiveness in this country and get us back on the road to where we were before.
If you look back a year ago, back when Joe Biden was at least ostensibly a viable candidate, we had a whole bunch of Hollywood types, a whole bunch of liberal types that were 100% pro-Biden. Boy, they were beating the bandwagon and beating that drum for Joe Biden. Kamala Harris has received a lukewarm response from these folks. The real left-wing loonies, Michael Moore and his ilk, of course, are still, Harris is the one. But there's a whole bunch of Hollywood types and moneyed types on the West Coast that are saying, this is going to be kind of hard to support this woman because she's got nothing. She's an empty pantsuit.
Let me just say this. Hollywood has a lot of Jewish influence. Mm-hmm. And Jews are startled out there, most of them liberal. They're startled about what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are trying to do to Israel, including the squad, I call them the squids, in Congress. The Democratic Party has turned into the fascist party. They're anti-Semitic. Okay?
No doubt in my mind. Let's not forget that they hate the Christians as well, Dave.
That's right. No, I'm not trying to leave them out on purpose, but that's true. Hey, Ray Maddox. Morning, Bradshaw.
Roy Maddox.
Good morning. He didn't say good morning. He says morning, Bradshaw.
He is my son-in-law, and he's a faithful listener to your show. And I guess he wants to hear his father-in-law rave on Friday mornings. Perhaps that's
that's a good thing.
But the fact is they're anti-Semitic towards Jews, and that's bad enough on its own, but they're anti-Semitic towards Christians too. And I happen to be a dyed-in-the-wool Christian, and I object to that. I object to my government wanting to pursue me with criminal charges just because of my religious beliefs. We have a constitution that precludes that happening. Yeah. And these folks have gone around the Constitution again and again and again with executive orders. And by the time those get overturned in the courts, the damage has been done. You and I have talked about this for years. This is their playbook. They do the dirty deed. By the time they're stuck with it, you've already ruined whatever it was you did the dirty deed on. This is their playbook. This is right out of Rules for Radicals. I encourage folks to read that book. And as soon as you're finished reading it, read Chris Adamo's book, Rules for Defeating Radicals. The two are the yin and yang of politics. Yeah. And if you read both of them, you'll recognize the Marxist roots of the leftist movement. They're certainly there. Karl Marx is probably smiling from his dingy, moldy grave. This is serious stuff, Dave. We've got an election coming up that it may be the deciding factor of our country and the future of the free world. And
all right, one more time, we gotta get out the vote. Vote no on Amendment 3 for sure.
Absolutely.
That's the one that shows that little baby. Remember the little baby smiling at her daddy while in the womb? Mm-hmm. That's who you'd be killing right up until the day she would have been born. And this is not right, and you know it's not right. I don't care whether you believe in God or not. It's not right. You can't commit murder. There are laws in this country. That would be murder.
Dave, you need to get Joe and Jane Dalton on your show once again. They drive that point home fairly well.
Oh, yeah.
I have a parting shot for you, Dave.
Do.
The DOJ has been weaponized against everybody associated with Trump.
Yeah.
Today is the day that Steve Bannon gets out of prison.
Oh, good.
Steve Bannon served 120 days on trumped up charges, and I get the pun there, trumped up charges. And he served his time. He's going to get out. Not surprisingly, he
wouldn't talk. He wouldn't give up.
He wouldn't
give up. That's a big deal right there.
He pretty much told them to go pound sand, and he was convicted of contempt of Congress, and that was a BS bunch of stuff.
Well, that was the 1-6 committee did that,
of course,
without any real Republican representation, and they were trying to get him to say stuff that Donald Trump said.
Yeah, and
he's got a right not to say it.
Their evidence was entirely circumstantial.
Well,
ultimately, I think this will get bumped out in appeals, but he served his time. Steve, welcome back to what's left of the freedom of the United States of America. I hope you become, again, a very vocal opponent of the Marxist leftists who put you in prison.
Sure.
I look forward to you not being quietly going into that peaceful night. I look for you to raise hell about this. I'd love to see you in a rally with Donald Trump and tell the American people just how badly you've been screwed.
Hey, all right, my friend. Great appearance as always. All right, please leave that up there, the note. Thanks. And please have a great weekend. Hi to your wife. And let's hear it for J.J. Bradshaw. Thank you, my friend. Shannon Reed, we got to get some commercials. And Shannon Reed, not just laws in place, but we need to have morals. Very good. Anyone else? By the way, if you want to call the show or contact the show, call 573 I forgot my own phone number. 573-578-2700. I'm not running for president, though. Come on. All right. We're going to do commercials right now. Come back with the Rabbi.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, big treat right now. Wartime Rabbi, second most powerful in Israel, except for his wife Yonit, takes our dollars, buys modern equipment for the troops. Please welcome the official rabbi to the Dave Weinbaum Show, Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. And you are in Israel, is that right?
That's right, I am. I'm here.
Great. Sometimes you fake out and you're in the United States, but you're staying pretty close to home, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm traveling in around 3 weeks, but for now I'm here.
Well, let us know.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll be in your area.
There's fine involved there. Unless it's from Netanyahu. Plans for the Iran attack were coughed up by the Biden administration, and 7 Israeli citizens were committing acts of treason against their own country. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, I looked into that a bit. I saw that just about all of them are they're not native-born Israelis. They had come here from Azerbaijan, and most of them were in the low-income brackets. One of them, actually, I saw him in a report that they interviewed him, and he said he feels terrible. He did it just for the money, and as I suspected, that was the case, and. So it's a developing story, but it looks like most of these guys just did it for the money.
Yeah. So a group of 250 victims and their families filed unprecedented lawsuits against the Palestinian authorities and Hamas and their pay for slay policy. So do you have any insights into this suit?
Well, there's an organization in Israel. It's an NGO, and they've for years been taking on the terrorists and trying to affect them financially because terrorism does require money. You need funding. You need to pay your terrorists' salaries.
Oh yeah.
The Palestinian Authority, which is the other. The other organization here, Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, they pay salaries to those who commit acts of terror against Jews, against Westerners here in the land of Israel.
Are they still paying these people during this war? And are they?
Yeah, they still are. And so the United States has a law against it, the Taylor Force Act, which Donald Trump enforced, but Joe Biden turned it around, and saying that basically the U.S. could not send taxpayer dollars to help the Palestinian Authority as long as they were using that money to pay terrorists, to incentivize them.
Well,
basically,
if they're committing terror attacks, why aren't we at war with them too?
Well, it's a good question. As we at the moment we're not, and they there was a photo I saw this week of the entire Palestinian Authority leadership, paying homage to Sinwar. They're really no different than Hamas, but somehow they've been propped up over the years. And they're also our adversary more in Judea and Samaria, or what the world calls the West Bank. And it's their real problem. They are a real problem. And so, they need to be taken to task. So hopefully this lawsuit will have some teeth and they'll win.
So can I know I'm going out on a limb here, but can I conclude that you're not voting for Kamala?
Well, I don't like to say who I'm voting for, but I'm not voting for Kamala.
They're having a fit in here.
He lives in Israel.
Yeah.
He's a citizen of the United States, too. Can you vote in the United States?
63%. 63% of the voters.
But you are.
No, I want to hear the answer. I want to hear the answer.
Yeah, now you're sidestepping like Kamala.
What did you say?
I don't know if it's your mic, Dave, but it's hard for me to hear you. Your volume is very low.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah, my computer's on the highest, and I can. It's hard to hear you.
Can you turn us up?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll talk like this. Can you hear Mar? Huh?
But as I'm going to say, in the polls here, it shows that 63% are in favor of Trump, and only like 17% in favor of Harris, and the rest are like, undecided. But
what about the Jews in America? And many of them in America. And are they turning on Kamala Biden?
Yeah. Well, she is, according to the polls, has the lowest amount of Jewish voters ever that a Democrat has ever received. So far, the polls has her, losing a lot of the Jewish vote.
Now, who are the Yazidis?
The Yazidis,
yeah.
I think the Yazidis are another group supported by Iran, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a Yazidi woman freed by the IDF from Gaza, ISIS made them eat their own children. Did you read that story?
Look, after October 7th, I'll believe anything. With the atrocities we saw.
It's not just against Israel; it's against other people too.
Yeah.
My God, this is sick.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them found it out and died. They just couldn't take it. Oh. Anyway, now that that's a terrible segment to put in there, but it's true, and we got to report stuff like that. What's the what is the 10/8 syndrome? The October 8th syndrome. Do you have any idea what that is?
I don't. I mean, I could guess, but
I can tell you. It's when Jews all over the world, including America, including this country, including some of my relatives, wake up. It's wake up time on aisle survival. Okay? You want to survive, you gotta figure this out, because they don't like you, they're never gonna like you. And look what they did, and look what they're saying right now. Just because you're Jewish, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah. Definitely. I think October 7th. October 7th was a wake-up call. Just the question is, are we going to go back to sleep? That's the question.
Well, I can't see that happening for maybe a long time. I don't know what a long time is, but let's hope it's at least for 1,000 years, because always things change, and you have different leaders and stuff like that, and you go away from what I think God wants us to do. And when you do that, I believe, I'm not a rabbi, but I believe that God doesn't pay much attention to us when we don't abide by his guidance. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I'm a rabbi, and I would agree with you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, I feel so.
You heard it here first.
I've got goosebumps. So reported leaker of this Israeli thing is a gal named the Israeli plans to attack Iran is from Ariana Tabalabai, an Iranian origin, but she's from the Pentagon in the United States.
Right. The White House is denying it, but that's been the report, that she's been the leak.
Yeah. That's like treason.
I was wondering why the Israeli retaliation against Iran has taken so long. It could be because the plan was leaked and they have to come up with another plan. So I don't know, but it's very troubling, and I think the White House denies it because they don't want this story to blow up, 2 weeks before the election.
Yeah,
that there is someone that in their government is someone who is leaking information to Iran, who's an enemy of the United States,
actively trying to hurt Israel and to have Jews killed. That's what our government is doing, despite what they're saying.
But they're going to do everything they can to crush this story, at least till after the election.
Well, people listen to this show, you're going to get these kind of stories, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
So on the other end, 600 Christian Zionists gathered in Israel to show support for Israel. Do you know anything about them? Did you give them a tour?
Yeah, every year around this time of year, the Feast of Tabernacles, the holiday of Sukkot, there's a large gathering here in Jerusalem. They do a march and they do a big evening gathering together for the Feast of Tabernacles to show support for Israel. The book of Zechariah, I think it's chapter 14, says in the end of days, non-Jews who stood with and support Israel will come together to Jerusalem to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. It's a prophecy. So this is an ongoing event every year at this time of year. So, but in particular this year, it's very meaningful because they were here over the anniversary of the attack of the 7th of October, which took place right at the tail end of the Feast of Tabernacles.
Yeah.
So on the Jewish calendar. So it was very significant, and it did not go unnoticed here.
Okay, so let's go back to Beirut. They blew up this bank complex that was hidden under buildings in Lebanon, and they found actually the treasury of Lebanon and Hezbollah, and we're talking about a lot of money, maybe $1 billion,
about $500 million, $500 million in cash,
in gold, and you got it all. And number 7 or so of who's taking over in Hezbollah was killed.
Yeah,
how many is it? How would you declare yourself the president, knowing full well that the likelihood of you being alive for about a week is all you got?
Yeah, I mean, Hamas said they're not announcing who's the successor to Sinwar because and everybody knows it's his brother, but everyone's afraid of announcing that they're in charge because then they get that target on their back. And
they showed it was really weird. They showed the death of Sinwar. It looked like he was sitting in a dilapidated room, and you could see some rubble around him, and he had a big stick in his hand. And what you're seeing it from, I believe, is a drone. The drone.
Not only are you seeing it from a drone, but here's something you'll hear nowhere else. The guy operating that drone was my son's very good friend.
Oh my gosh!
I don't want to say his name on air.
Don't say his name. Whatever you do.
I was talking to his parents, and we got him a drone. They said it wasn't the drone we got him, but he learned on that first drone that we got him, and so we had an indirect hand in that drone. And you saw when Sinwar throws the stick, he kind of moves the drone so it doesn't get hit.
Well, and he moved the drone. It was really interesting to watch that because the drone was like you had a cameraman there. Right. All right. And it was a cameraman. And it's sitting there hovering, sort of watching and trying to identify who this is or what kind of a object that is. Is it a person or is it not? And then the stick is thrown and the thing goes out of whack for a minute or two. And then it goes in for the kill, apparently.
Yeah, well, the drone didn't kill him, but you see from that video the importance of those drones because you don't have to send in soldiers to see what's going on. Sure. And they saw Sinwar was there, then they fired a tank shell in there, and a sniper hit him in the head with a bullet, and that was it. And you didn't have to send anybody into these potentially booby trap buildings. Sure. And you see those drones. So like there's a kid in our neighborhood.
The drone didn't
kill him.
Best friend. So the drone didn't kill him, right?
No.
Okay.
My son's best friend is operating that drone.
That's amazing. That is incredible.
Yeah.
I hope this thing ends, the right way.
Yeah.
And Israel later. But
Israel has offered them Sinwar's body in exchange for the hostages. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Right. But it seems like they're stubborn about it, and they're getting beat at them. What's going to happen in Iran? Do you know?
It's a good question, but I'm pretty sure that the Ayatollah Khamenei is definitely on the hit list,
and he's hiding somewhere, right?
I think a combination of taking him out, some of the leaders, and a coup from the bottom up, could really change things.
That's what I was.
That's what needs to happen. But
I was thinking about the prince, the son of the leader of Iran, the Shah. What do I know? So, do you have any other? I mean, I hate to be selfish, but I owe it to my audience. Do you have any other rabbi rants or scoops?
I don't. Just that drone operator. That was when I got a text that it was. They told me who it was. I was just I couldn't believe it.
Okay. All right. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute to you and buy your book? Have we shown his book?
Oh, there you go. There's the website.
Yeah.
You can pick up my book on that website, secretsofthehebrewbible.org. You can order it on the website. And if you want to contribute, you can go to israelalliance.org or facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
You know, Rabbi, my poetry teacher commented on the C she gave me. She said, you know, it could have been verse. It's like a Jewish thing. It could have been verse. That's the matter with you. Cheer up.
I thought you were going to say your poetry teacher.
Lots of ball soup. It'll make you feel better.
I thought you were going to say your poetry teacher gave you a rhyme where, she said, I gave you a C. It could have been a D, but it certainly wasn't a B.
Very good. Did you just make that up?
I did. Just
write it down. Use it. Jeez. I mean, I'm not taking any credit at all for that one. None, except for maybe a little inspiration. Just a tiny bit of little inspiration. All right.
All right.
Rabbi, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, guys.
And the special one needs to be covered by God, I hope.
Yep. Please.
All right.
All the best. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks. Okay. That was the rabbi calling all the way from Israel with a scoop. Can you imagine that on this little show? That we had the guy operating the drone that was in watching this guy who throw a stick at him, Yahya Sinwar.
Yeah.
I mean, the most important guy basically in this fight. And this kid is out there watching him via this drone, and then they found out who it was.
Could you imagine being that kid watching the drone going, it's him. I found him.
I don't know if he recognized him. I wonder.
I don't know.
I think he was sending back pictures of him.
I'm sure he was.
Yeah. And maybe he might have recognized him, but he might not have. Some guy sitting in a living room, and I thought later I saw him in a rubble of stuff, which apparently they did, and I didn't know that was coming out of the kid's camera. Well, the kid's not on he's not on the drone.
Right.
I mean, it's a remote control kind of thing.
Yep.
Just incredible, just incredible. All right. Anyhow, we haven't done anything funny, have we? Let's do Reagan and Carlin.
You know, there's a 10-year delay in the Soviet Union of delivery of an automobile. And you go through quite a process when you're ready to buy, and then you put up the money in advance. This man, he laid down his money, and then the fellow that was in charge said to him, okay, come back in 10 years and get your car. And he said, morning or afternoon? And the fellow behind the counter said, well, 10 years from now, what difference does it make? And he said, well, the plumber's coming in the morning.
Do you ever notice how awful your face looks in a mirror in a restroom that has fluorescent lights? Every cut, scrape, scratch, scar, scab, bruise, boil, bump, pimple, zit, wart, welt, and abscess you've had since birth all seem to come back at the same time. And all you can think of is, I gotta get the out of here!
Oh, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. All right, well, let's go back to work here. Come on. All right. We got. We didn't do number 12. Do number 12 from what we were going to put in the monologue until I made a switch. Hit number 12, please.
We see and we know for a fact that people in the mountains were not getting attended to. And we also know that a lot of the landslides and a lot of that flooding, a lot of the flood insurance, they don't get it because they don't feel as though they don't live by water. They don't think it'll be an issue. So you have a unique storm that took place 2 weeks ago, and then people need aid. And then out of nowhere, Mayorkas comes out and says, oh, by the way, FEMA's out of money. Right. We're going to need a replenishment. At the same time, showing really a tone deafness, over the weekend, Kamala Harris talked about how I'm giving Lebanon $167 million. At the same time, $100 million go to the storm-ravaged people of America.
These
By
are
the
the
way,
tweets.
side note, why are we giving Lebanon any money? Hezbollah runs that country. You're giving it to the terrorists. It makes no sense. But having said that, that created the controversy. Where is the money you had already? How could you not have enough for hurricane season? And why can you get it automatically for Lebanon and have to get Congress to okay it for us?
There you go. Brian Kilmeade, who was very effective. I tell you what, Fox has made a very big turnaround. They're not they're not as easily pushed around, I guess. Bret Baier did an excellent job with Kamala. I don't know if anybody here watched that particular interview. Did you watch that?
I did not watch it because my anticipation was that he was going to roll over, and I thought it's going to be the same old we see from the liberal networks. I'm not even going to watch it. And then it was actually Eli Hakeem, who's been a guest on the show, posted. He said, because he had the same concern. He said, okay, my apologies to Bret Baier. He actually asked the questions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like what Bret Baier did. I don't like a lot of the stuff he does, but he was right on then. And you know, he called Arizona in 2020 election like votes weren't even in yet.
I remember that
he called it. And that's I thought that was crap.
Yep.
Personally,
no, definitely agree with
that. But he came through against Kamala, and Kamala, that was one of the toughest. That was when you really knew she doesn't know what she's talking about. Yep. She has no clue on how to handle this situation. She's not in a good situation after all.
No.
Look, she's been interviewed. She's been interviewed as saying, Joe Biden was a great man. I didn't see anything wrong with him, and I thought we did great things and all that. So then she says, well, I'm changing my policy. I have my own policies. And instead of, turning gas around, she's gonna say, let's do, is it fracking?
Fracking.
Yeah, fracking. And so now she's saying the complete opposite thing she said back in 2019.
Well, so if Joe Biden's such a great president,
then
that would mean he's a great presidential candidate. Then why'd you drop him? And here's the whole thing is that they told us all the way through the summer, the economy is great. The economy is great. There's no issues with the economy. And then when they switched to Kamala, her first thing was, well, I'm going to fix the economy.
Well, yeah.
I thought you all said it was fine. So why are you trying to fix it?
There's no connection.
None.
To the logic of them. None.
They literally negated their own platform.
And they negated everything. They negated, probably she should have said, look, I was the vice president. I know that I have a responsibility, but I could not change his mind. I'm not going to take over for the president, but I thought he was out of his mind when he did some of that stuff. That was the only thing that could have possibly saved her.
She could have even still covered for him and said, hey, listen, I was the VP. He was president. There was some good stuff that I thought he was doing, some other stuff that was questionable. Now, when I get in power, I'm going to make some changes that I think could be even more effective. She could have still covered in that way. They didn't even do that.
No.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And by the way, and I understand what JJ is saying about the polls. I agree. I really have a hard time paying attention to polls. But there's one thing that was said, I think it was last week, that I found really, and I think this was on Bongino. He mentioned that, and this was CNN or another liberal network, said one stat they're very concerned about is what they're hearing in the polls from the black voters, because Obama had such a high number, and then you had Hillary, and then you had Joe. They have steadily lost the black vote, and now the numbers for Kamala with them are not good at all.
Yeah,
like I think she's lost. I think she's down 50% from where they were back when Obama had, whenever he was running.
Well, and Obama's, he had a lot of white orientation.
Right.
I'm not saying that he's not black. He's black, but he grew up with rich white grandchildren. His mother was white. That's not a big deal, but he had a lot of white influence, and he's going to tell black people, black men, how dare you not vote for Kamala? You're black.
That would be,
in other words, because you're supposed to vote because of the color of your skin.
That would be like if Trump came out and said, "You ain't white if you don't vote for me."
Well,
they would have fried him.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Well,
it's no different.
But they are saying that.
Right.
What they are saying is, the white people, they be going after Donald Trump.
Right.
You should stay here with the black guy. I mean, it's all racism.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And some of these blacks, I'm sure a lot more of them are going to vote for Donald Trump than they think about now, because a lot of them are embarrassed to vote for Trump.
Another thing I'm curious about, and this may be if we have Jeff on next week, I'd be curious to hear his opinion. Now, again, this is about polling, so we'll see. Could this just be propaganda? But so far, early voting reports in Maricopa County are saying strong conservatives out there early voting, because they saw what happened the last two cycles and all the issues on voting day and how the machines weren't working right, the long lines, people giving up, and they said, forget that, we're going to go early vote, and the returns are coming out very strong on the conservative side.
Yeah, we'll see.
I find that interesting, too.
We'll see, because they did a lot of cheating in Maricopa County, that's for sure. And we got the guy that knows it, too. That would be Jeff Zink. I'll try to get him for next week. If you want to call the show, 573-578-2700. See, I remembered my own phone number. How's that?
Good deal.
Thanks, honey. Give me a little pat on the back. Ow. I didn't tell you to beat me up. Man alive. All right. You take everything's like you're going to, over the top. It's over the top.
I'm over the top?
Oh,
really?
Yes.
You're one to talk.
That's right. I'm talking right now. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about other things. Let's go on to
quick question. Megan wants to call in and talk about her meeting real quick.
Megan?
Yeah. What time works
Okay.
for you?
Well, she can call now between now and 9:30.
Okay.
Thank
sure.
You. Yeah. All right. Anytime. Anything else? I just asked people to call me. So see, if you'd listen to me once in a while, you'd know that. She never listens to me. So on his, ouch, that hurt. All right. You know what that calls for. You know what that calls for. Yeah, hit it. You know where that is.
As long as I can find it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. You got it. You can't find it, can you? On his way to work, French fries in drive-through, about 100,000 people were filled up. This is Donald Trump going to this Pennsylvania McDonald's, and he does the drive-through. But on his way there must have been 100,000 people lining the streets as he's in his car. Rick Camino, good morning. Yes, that's one of Henderson's good friends. And who else is there? Anyone?
Yeah, on the screen.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Patricia Oden, Maxwell, sounding good, looking good. Go team. She's the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum show and the official mother to JP Maxwell. Shannon Reed, good morning. Good morning, Shannon. Glad you're back. I was worried about her. Owen McNamee, he's pushing my stuff day and night. What a great patriot he is. Good morning, Patriots. Good morning to you, sir. Kathy Sanford Dillon, good morning and happy Friday, everyone. She came up with that. All right, isn't that great? Joseph Dalton, who was somebody mentioned, huh?
I'm just saying hi to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Being friendly.
Joseph Dalton. Well, you can say hello to Joseph Dalton, too.
Well, he just popped up.
Good morning, y'all. I didn't know he's from South St. Louis, actually. So that's where they have a little accent there. John Jeffrey Bradshaw, Great interview with the Rabbi Moshe. Can you imagine that hit on this show? The scoop of that magnitude? Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Wow. That is just unconscionable.
Inside scoop of the details of that day, and it ended up being a family friend of his.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. All right. Well, still get a lot of blowback. Not as much on people agitating me. And, and I answer most of these. I don't care. These people that are saying, Israel, I hate Jews and all that crap. And one guy's following me. And I think he's been following me for a while. He says, so why do you follow me if you hate me so much? Because I am a Zionist Jew. I believe in Israel, as the Bible does. And I believe that's where my ancestors came from. And I can prove that via the test that one of my daughters took, that she is definitely Jewish by blood. Okay. So.
Yeah. And here's the thing, for those that have a problem, who invaded who on October 7th last year?
Yeah, they don't remember that. They don't remember that. No. That really didn't happen. You see, that they lie about it.
So we have a comment here from Rumble that I thought, well, it's really not worth reading.
Is that Evan?
No, this is our friend Dave Bann's facts.
Yeah, okay.
So here is your problem. No Democrat will vote for Trump. Too many Republicans for you are going to vote for Harris. I'm not hearing that whatsoever from the people that I know. Also, over 20 million baby boomers died since 2020. Well, ironically, when did COVID come along? It was shortly after that. 40 million people turned 18. So I guess his thing is that to him, it's going to be overwhelmingly for Harris. I don't agree with that whatsoever. So,
well, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, I just think he's nuts. But anyway, that's fine.
Well, no, he's probably getting paid, and God bless you.
He's definitely a paid troll. Otherwise, then he's wasting his personal time trying to troll us, which I find interesting since he disagrees so much. So, yeah.
Oh well. Yeah. So I answered some of his responses last week. I don't think I got an answer back. And
he's very inconsistent when it comes to responding.
Seems like when I give a big show, he's always there. He tries to.
There does seem to
weasel in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if you're right. The thing about the polls is that they are run by liberal organizations. Trump has an interesting thing to say. He says, it's not that I don't believe in the polls. I just believe that they are useful for some things. I don't know whether it's to use to start fires in your fireplace or what, but you look at everything with a educated eye. In other words, that the polls probably are going to lean left because that's the way they make them. But when they start showing Trump up in every single swing state, not by a lot, but a little. But in some of those, they're like 2 or 3%. Nevada's like 4 or 5%. I mean, that's pretty good for this time. And the idea that most Trump supporters aren't going to be out there talking to pollsters. Right. That it's that simple. So I think he's a lot more ahead. The question is how well we're doing at stemming the cheating.
Yeah.
Because we know it's going to happen, and it's going to happen as big as they can do it.
I know I've received, I can't even tell you how many text messages, how many this, that in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Even some that say, "This is President Trump. Are you voting for me?" Guess how many I've replied to? 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't reply to any.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it on election day.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that I criticized him for not being not for letting this happen, but I don't think he was as aware that it was happening in 2020 as he is now, obviously. But still, he should have been ready. I mean, these are the Democrats; they're going to do anything they can.
I think when he ran for the first time in 2016, and he made the comment, "We're going to drain the swamp," even he didn't realize what he was up against.
I'm sure he did.
Now he's fully aware of what he's up against.
He's fully aware, and I'm quite frankly, I'm looking forward to what he can do in office now. and see what the Democrats are going to do about it, because they're going to try to fight back. They're going to try to drag him into all sorts of crap, and I think he can fight it away a little bit. And he's going to ring China's bell real hard. So, so that should be interesting. So Trump goes into the barbershop, into the black barbershop. He's talking to these barbers, and I'd say probably a few more are for Kamala than are for Trump. But they're honestly talking about it amongst themselves, and maybe it's almost like a little bit of a 2-to-1 situation. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good. When the last time I think he only got 5% of the black vote. We're talking about 15-20% of that vote. That's critical to the Democrats. The women vote as well. That's critical too. And he's gone out of his way to stop the distortion of his stance on abortion policy. And he said it. He said, "Look, everyone was crying to stop Roe v. Wade, and that's what the Supreme Court did. It was well known by even liberal judges on the court, like Ginsburg, saying that this is not a Supreme Court issue. This is a state issue. So now it's in the states, okay? Mm-hmm. And some of them are very liberal in terms of their handling of abortion, and some are not. But these are issues that belong in the state legislatures. However, when it comes down to a certain time in a pregnancy, and there's not any reason for the mother's health or other reasons, it gets very close to being murderous.
Basically, they say that there really is no acceptable reason to do an abortion in months 7 through 9. Yeah. At that point, it's best to just deliver the child, you know, and then go forward.
Deliver the child. Right. Do what you have to do to keep mommy safe.
Right.
Cesarean births work, and so
there's a lot of misinformation about the Amendment 3, and I'm sure you're probably going to have Bill address that today. Probably.
Well, I'm going to have. Sure, I am.
The other amendment.
Sure, I am. I'm going to have them.
All right.
Supreme Court. Here's some news. Supreme Court kill off Michael Cohen's. That's Trump's ex-lawyer. Attempt to sue Trump. He was trying. The Supreme Court was actually hearing a case by Cohen, who was Trump's lawyer, and he wanted to sue Trump. For what? I have no idea. The guy stole from Trump. He was a terrible guy. 1/6 will go down in history as the day government staged a riot to cover up their theft of an election. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. And I think that's becoming the opinion of all people now. Out of all the people in back in 2020, 5% of the people believed that an election could be thrown. Now it's like 56% of the people are worried about.
Everything that used to be conspiracy theory is slowly coming true. You know, the election fraud, the weather control, cloud seeding, all that. It's all coming to light.
Well, at which point, after conspiracy theories keep getting proven to be true, when do they stop being conspiracy theories?
See, that's when it becomes
when it's true. You can't call it conspiracy theory anymore.
You can call it what you want to. They call it a lie. You know, they always add the word lie, and that prescribes a different connotation of what a person is saying. I believe is not a lie. When you say I believe that this is what happened, I'm not saying it as a fact.
Or it's
I didn't at the beginning. I'm just saying it seems like there's something fishy here. Now I'm saying there's proof, there's evidence, and a lot of it, and a lot more is coming.
So we have another reply from Dave
Yes.
Band's Facts on
great.
Rumble. And so, yeah, I'm paid to troll a small audience every Friday. Your crowd size is almost the size of Trump's rallies by the end of the night. Very delusional thinkers. Yet you keep coming back. That's my thing. Well, then why, if we're not making an impact, why are you here then? Because you obviously don't agree with us.
We're the
So
size
Who keeps coming back?
We're the size of Trump rallies? Yay.
Is that what he said?
Dave Band's Facts.
Yay.
That's what he said. Yeah, I'm paid to troll a show every Friday that has
Wow.
such a small. Well, then why are you here then?
Yeah.
You don't agree with this, so oh, that's right, because you have nothing better to do than to try to pass along your delusional thinking on to everybody else. So we're not having it here.
Tell
It
him
just
you're-
ain't working.
Well, you're fine. I don't care. You know.
This is what happens when we let Judy go on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my gals who works for me seems to have shut you down, but apparently
She enjoys chatting with Dave.
that's fine. I don't
Band's
care.
Facts.
I don't care.
It's all right in his name.
Yeah, I don't care. So even Donald Trump said either today or yesterday, he says, if it comes to it, I'd actually pardon Hunter Biden. Did you guys know that?
No.
He said that, and I said I'd be all right with it. It's after the election. He forgave Hillary, 2016. When she was lying about him and all that, and Russia. He forgave her.
Do you feel like that was the right thing to do?
You know what?
Or even going forward with Hunter? I don't know.
I don't know how you're going to stop this stuff.
Great
then.
for being diplomatic. That's awesome.
JJ Bradshaw, we are living in George Orwell's 1984. I think it's even worse. I remember reading that
need to
book.
read
And
that
I mean,
book.
this is really weird. I read, most kids read it when they were like, in school, and it was like perverse back then. I wonder if it'd be like if you went back today and read it, if it would be like it is now. Yeah. And it seems to me like it is. The control that they want from you is incredible, and what they will do to you is claim your disinformation. That's the big word now, disinformation. We're going to have disinformation.
Only if you're conservative, though.
Disinformation. It
If you're
should be a
Democratic,
song.
it's not disinformation.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I went to a local restaurant last night just to have a quick salad and stuff. I was in town, and somebody in there had I don't know if it was supposed to be a Halloween costume or what this deal was, but almost looked like the color of Satan red.
Yeah.
A red halo.
Really?
Over their head.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even make concept as to what this was about.
Well,
it was odd.
There's look, people change and they go back and forth between God and not God and all that. And I'm just saying that in my opinion, I don't have a proof of anything about that, but I believe in God, and I think it helps me, and I'm sure it helps my wife, and it helps us get through challenges. And I think God wants to help, but He's not going to help you if you don't help yourself. He gave you a brain for a reason, and the brain wasn't to call on God and say, "Fix my problems," with a miracle. What He's giving you is a brain like He gave to Moses, like He gave to Aaron, Moses' brother, to take a chance on God. He didn't save them right away. They had 10 things, 10 commandments and all that. I mean, they had 10 things or so that the Pharaoh needed to live up to, and he wouldn't do these 10 things. Very simple things.
So
he kept punishing them.
Somebody made a really good point to me. You go back and look at the story of David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at it from this aspect before.
Yeah.
But, the army was afraid of Goliath because how big he was. David, the shepherd boy, comes in to basically bring food to his brothers from their father. Here's all the talk about all the promises that the king has made. The guy that slays Goliath is going to get this. He's going to get this. He's going to get this.
Yeah.
And he looks at everybody. He's like, why are you letting this guy, he's chastising God and you're just letting him do it.
Yeah.
And it says that he didn't wear any armor and he ran to the battle, ran to it, didn't even have the rock in his sling yet. He put the rock in his sling as he's running toward Goliath before he launched it and, knocked him in the head.
Really?
He drops him.
Yeah.
He doesn't just stand over him and go, okay, well, that's done. No, he drew the guy's sword and cut off his head.
Yeah.
to make sure the enemy was dead. But he ran to the battle with the courage of God, because that's what God had basically told him to do.
Yeah.
Everybody else was afraid to do it. Well, it's the same thing. Like, if God's given us courage to do something, we need to put action to it.
Where's that movie at? I mean, what's his name was making it? The ex-football player, very religious guy, and I can't remember his name. He played for Miami University or something. But
probably Tim. Was it Tim Tebow then?
Tim Tebow, yeah. He was making a movie about this. So I don't know. All right, I'll tell you what was it? Almost 9:30.
Almost, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll do commercials later. That's fine. So we have great guest coming on, and that's Chris Adamo. He was talked about by J.J. Bradshaw. You know, the people that are on this show, they coagulate with each other. They actually gather with each other. I mean, sometimes they meet up, sometimes they don't, but it's based on this show. What's that? Oh, hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Lee from Richland.
Hey, how you been, buddy?
Okay, I got to try to get away from this speaker. My wife's got it set up on the internet so I don't override it. Yeah, I have a couple things I'd like to mention. One is I believe in going to church and paying tithes and offerings and stuff. Yeah. And sometimes I think ministers and churches are afraid to speak up because they don't want to lose their tax exempt. The thing is these Democrats get in here again, they are going to go after that tax exempt when I could see that just totally being gone. That's
a big issue.
You give to God not for tax exempt. You give to God and pay tithes to God for what and do that. But if you're only doing it for a tax exempt, you're not coming out financially ahead that way, I don't believe. But you don't let the Democrats dictate to the, I'm not good on words, to tell the preachers how to preach.
Well, that's right.
If that's the case, then you've been bought out.
And you've got to defend your religion, as do the Jews, and you got to vote. I mean, it's that simple. Yes. And a lot of they found out, and I didn't know this, a lot of the church people are not voting.
Yes.
Get them out. I'm not saying to who to vote for. I'm saying get out and vote. It's critical.
Well, I'll tell you who to vote for, but
well, I know who I voted for. I voted for Donald Trump, but I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you should vote for Donald Trump.
Well, Pam and I are going down to the Pulaski County Courthouse here in a little bit.
There you go.
And we're going to vote early.
You the man.
Like the idea.
Did you hear that? Pulaski County Courthouse. I was going to ask Bill Hardwick, who's going to be on the show a little later, who lives in Waynesville, and we're going to do that. And you guys got to get out that vote. I got my next guest on. Thank you so much for the call. Hi to your bride. Okay, and I'm glad you're doing well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is here, and I'm going to find out where the hell his information is. And boy, do we have information on him. Alrighty. Where'd you go? Dang it.
I'm right here.
I know it is. Oh, this gentleman is he's a pizza expert. In fact, he pioneered the Wyoming government by leading the elimination of the rhinos, including by his nemesis, Liz Cheney, who, along with other fallen rhinos, back Kamala. He's the author of Rules for Defeating Radicals, which you can see up there and you can buy. Please welcome, all the way from, Missouri, Chris Adamo. Chris, how you doing?
I'm actually mixed things going on, mixed bag this time. I was kind of hoping you're going to mention I claimed when I sent you that little text message where I said that I invented the pizza burger when I was working at McDonald's. I mean, if everybody else can work at McDonald's and claim they work there, I thought I can too. So
the pizza burger, the pizza. Yeah. What was it? Pizza O burger or something? I forgot.
McDonald's or something.
Yeah. Well,
so, I figured everybody else can say it. Why can't I say it too?
You have yet to laugh at any of my jokes. In fact, you interrupt me on at the first part of my joke, so you've ruined the joke immediately. You have no cause for complaining. None.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were so sensitive,
You're always looking to give me the crickets. All right. Anyways, you were talked about a lot during John Jeffrey Bradshaw's interview. I'm sure you were not listening.
No, I just got on here. I'm putting together, my little. This is my show prep. There, a little bit of a list of the news items of the day.
But well, let me give you some compliments here because
thank you.
Obviously you're dying for those. JJ Bradshaw was talking about your book, and you guys says you got to get that book. You got to read that book. It's a great book. It's a great book on Marxism. You're going to understand Marxism after you read this book, Chris Adamo. Okay,
I really appreciate that, Dave and JJ. We're trying to get the word out, and I had, quite honestly, not to digress too much, but I had kind of a rather bitter experience since the last time we talked. And it showed me something that we've got to deal with. And aside from our banter here, when you get on here, you're serious about getting the truth out to people, what we need to know, the message that America needs to hear, because we have a dangerous enemy we face. What I have found, I spoke at an event about a week ago, and what I came to the realization of was that there's a lot of people that claim to be on our side that are unserious. And I'm telling you, things are getting dangerous. And if you're not serious in this fight, you're going to have a rude awakening, because the enemy is serious.
Oh, yeah.
And unless we go into these situations, and joking and kidding around aside, I mean, that's part of the fun. It makes it enjoyable. But we have got a really a major task, a major crossroads facing America that our side had better learn. We've got to fight it. We've got to fight it to win, because the enemy's fighting it to win. And just taking it back.
They will cheat. They will go to any means to win.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
I read we got our sample ballots yesterday, and I read Missouri Amendment 3.
Yeah.
And if you read the way it made it to the ballot, is such a bunch of convoluted crap that it's like you have no idea what it's about, except there's advertisements on TV all over the place talking about how this protects women, this protects little girls. They show families walking along together. They're all happy and everything because of Amendment 3. Okay. And then you try and read what it is on the ballot. It's going to do this. It's going to stop.
Let me tell you what I found in Facebook from a friend's place, Friendship Baptist Church. Vote as though newborn babies' life depend on it.
Amen.
Top 5 reasons to vote no on 3. Do you know those top 10 reasons? You have them, or top 5 reasons to vote no on 3?
Oh, I can give you just a couple. I don't know all 10 the way they
I don't have remember.
Okay. The number one is that I don't care how they word it in the amendment. They make it as confusing as possible. It allows abortion. As a matter of fact, it prohibits any restriction on abortion right up until birth. I've been posting on my Facebook channel a picture of a live baby that was just newly born, obviously just came out. Okay.
Yeah.
And the point being that 2 minutes earlier, you could have murdered that baby. You could have dissected that poor little baby like a lab rat.
Yeah.
And it would be perfectly legal according to Amendment 3. Now, the opposition, they're going to show families walking. The guy gets me the irony. The guy's walking along holding hands with his little girl. They're not talking about how he could have murdered that little girl while she was in the womb. They're talking about how he's protecting her. So when she goes out whoring around as a teenager, she can have her babies, his grandchildren, aborted. This is how despicable and deceitful these people are.
It is despicable. I'm going to play that thing again. And watch this. I don't know if you saw it or not. Okay, I don't know if you saw it or not, Chris, but I have an actual 3D video of a baby in the womb who is responding to her father.
I think I may have seen this.
Here it is. Yeah, it's coming right. I want you to see it again. I want my audience to see this. This is a baby, 3D, inside the womb. She's how many months in? 32 weeks. 32 weeks in the womb. And so she's been working on everything in terms of developing into a human being. And this is go ahead when you're ready.
Nenê do pai. Oh, meu Deus do céu, gente. Ela tá feliz, meu Deus do céu. Bebê. Mas, gente do céu. Nenê do pai. Oh, meu Deus do céu, gente.
Did you see that?
Absolutely. And that needs to be shown everywhere. And it needs to be explained that if you were watching that video and you were watching what Amendment 3 would allow, you'd see some sort of sharp object come in.
How are you going to kill that little baby, that little beautiful girl?
It's dehumanizing our entire culture, including the young women who typically are forced to go into those abortion clinics to get the abortion because somebody else doesn't want to deal with the baby. And I'll tell you one more thing. We did see, you remember Sound of Freedom about all the sex trafficking?
Yes.
We saw that last year. We need to understand that nothing maximizes the profit of sex traffickers like abortion, because you send those poor little girls out on the street and they get pregnant. You drag them off to the abortion clinic, you kill the baby, and you send them right back out onto the street. That's the reality of Amendment 3. But if you watch an Amendment 3 ad, it is the most blissful, utopian, Norman Rockwell America looking thing, and it's a pack of lies from the start. Amendment 3 is evil.
Guess who partners up with the cartels? Democratic Party.
Absolutely, every step of the way.
They've been talking to them since at least the middle teens, the 2013, 2014, in that area there. They've been
partnering with Hamas right now. I mean, this is the Democrat Party in America. This is why I said that our side, and this is what I saw wrong last week at that conference that I attended, and I was literally forced off the stage because people weren't having enough fun while I was speaking because I was getting serious. And we have, if we're going to be unserious about fighting this enemy, we might as well just throw in the towel right now because they are serious about beating us.
I agree.
I know that sounds intense, and it's that's not.
Call me later, and I'll give you some jokes.
You got jokes?
you rotten. You rotten. Yeah, I got jokes. It'll help.
I'm sorry, Dave. I couldn't resist
tell
that.
Jokes every once in a while. You're never going to be number one if you insist on being full of number two. Okay.
So are you turning over a new leaf here? Is this what I'm?
I think you should tell a joke once in a while.
You think I should tell a joke?
Sure. Trump tells jokes all the time.
Hey, we've got things we got to talk about, and I mean,
well, you want people to listen to you, right? So every once in a while, you got to break it up a little bit.
I'm telling you, unfortunately, we don't necessarily have time for that. You do that as the host. You're okay. Ready for this, Dave? You're good at it. Okay, so you go for it.
Am I blushing? Wait. Let me powder some blush in there. There you go. Okay.
But meanwhile,
yes.
Let's go back to this now.
Yeah.
The Texas Attorney General is suing the Department of Justice because they're not getting any help. They have 450,000 ineligible voters on their voting rolls, and they're not getting any help from the government on that. So they're suing the government over that. Okay, because the government isn't cooperating. Why? We need those, the leftists need those 450,000 to try and turn Texas red. Okay, Louisiana is suing Mayorkas, our so-called DHS secretary, the joke and the traitor that he is, because they have a Chinese illegal immigrant dumped into their state who has this rare form of tuberculosis that's resistant to antibiotics. Look at the nightmare that these people are visiting on us. So you'll forgive me if I don't take enough time out to tell a few jokes, but we got some dangerous things going on in this country right now.
Listen, even the rabbi tells jokes, and his son is he's in war. I I mean, his son is in war, has been since the beginning. Okay. And so the rabbi had a great joke. In fact, he made it. If you listen to me, he made up a joke based on my joke to him. And it was funny. He just made it up on the spot. So I'm saying, you can do this, Chris. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Speaking of jokes,
you can take up singing.
Oh no, then you'd lose audience. Being that you're talking about jokes here. Let's talk about what's going on in the campaign right now. We got a week and a half to go.
Yeah.
And the Dems are absolutely panicking.
They got nothing.
They have nothing. What they have this this phony front candidate that they handpicked with no votes. Right. And she was actually there to replace a phony front supposed president who hasn't been there. It's all a sham. It's all a fraud.
I agree.
But do you realize that they're reinventing her again? Now they brought her out as the the warm, compassionate.
Wait a minute. Has she transgendered into a man?
She's trying to what do they call it? Transition into being a candidate. This is about the fourth attempt now. Okay, she was going to be the young and fresh face because old Joe Biden there, he obviously wasn't doing it, so they pushed him out. None of this has anything to do with government of and by and for the people.
Just a minute, I think we're going to hear from her right now. Hold on. There you go. Do you feel better now, Chris?
Now tell me something. If Vladimir Putin is making a threatening move towards our sovereignty, or Xi Jinping or somebody is actually encroaching on Western, as they are, is that the kind of person that we're actually going to put up to try and stand against?
Of course we can't.
She won't even go into a so-called interview unless it's totally scripted. And with Brett Baer, the one time she tried to do it with just using the microphone in her ear, it didn't work and it totally collapsed. It was a total embarrassment. But they're literally reinventing her now. What, for the fourth time? She's going to be the compassionate one.
Too late.
And she's going to be the fierce leader.
It's too late. There's only 11 days. The amount of votes she's going to be picking up are going to be negligible. And I think
they're just trying to keep from losing anymore. I mean, forget picking them up.
I think Donald Trump the momentum is going to be overwhelming. However, let's see the cheating factor. Let's see.
And that's exactly where this has to go.
What happens when supposedly Trump gets elected? Let's see what they do. Let's see if she's a vice president. She could take away the delegates from the election college legally.
From the Electoral College, and I'll tell you something. If you don't mind me going back to my book again,
of course not.
One of the rules down there. Okay, I put it down as number 6, and as I'm watching right now, maybe I should have put it as number 1, because as I'm watching the way they're fighting us and the way we're responding, including that conference I was at last week, the way we're responding, we don't understand this, and it goes like this. It says power that is not used when it's needed is forfeited, and eventually it's lost forever. Okay. They fight to win. We fight to get along. We fight to not be called bad names by them because we're too mean-spirited or something. And so we forfeit our power over them. And as we do that, we'll eventually lose it. Now, we lost the election in 2020, not at the ballot box, but in the aftermath. Because when we saw the things you described, we saw the truckloads of ballots. We saw the 6 swing states where the county shut down.
We should have been ready. We should have been ready. We should.
Not only should we have been ready, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right about that. But when we saw it, because you can't predict everything they're going to do. When we saw it.
No, that was pretty predictable.
Well, I agree. But still, our big mistake in the aftermath was when they started mocking us and saying it was the most secure election in history. Yeah. We backed off. We didn't want to sound I don't want to sound conspiratorial. So I won't call it
that way. And I've been shut down a few times.
And look how many people fear of being shut down, they back off. So they were using terms like, I still hear it, possible voting irregularities in 2020. We say possible voting irregularities. They say with absolute certainty it was the most secure election in history. Yeah. Who sounds more believable? And this is what they count on. And so we got to do two things now.
The problem is that you can't have definitive proof before an investigation is done. This is where the Attorney General, Bill Barr, made a major faux pas, and I'm not sure it was a faux pas. I think it was intentional. When on December of 2020, December 3rd, 2020, or December 1st, I forget which, he is saying there's no sign that there was enough cheating that could affect this election. Where's the investigation?
Right.
If
They weren't going to have an investigation.
You wouldn't be able to know. So the idea is you got to nip this in the bud. You got to be prepared beforehand to stop it. Because
Well, I fully agree. I mean, hopefully this time, hopefully we have enough people that are expecting this to where we know, because they're going to invent new ways to cheat. They're not. We can't just react to the last one. That's the old, closing the barn door once the horses are out.
Yeah.
But we have to be ready for any new dirty tricks. Okay. Now, if in the midst of this we see something that we know is wrong, we've got to call it wrong. We can't call it possible irregularity or try. Well, I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but
right.
maybe we can't go at it with that way, because I guarantee you, if the tables were turned and we did something that blatant, it would be 24/7 for the last 4 years on every news cycle, and they'd have beaten us back. We have got to understand they're not fighting to be getting our approval and have us like them. They're fighting to win. We've got to fight this battle to win. It's no more complicated than that.
But we got to be smart about it, and we got to do it in the right time, which is when it starts. When the election first starts, you go right at them, and I think we're doing more and more of that.
I
Even
hope
the
so.
mainstream media is out there doing like Anderson Cooper. Now, I wouldn't agree with everything he did during that interview, but he sure as hell nailed her. I mean, if he's saying that, well, if you were in there for 3.5 years, why didn't you do it? Okay, that's a great question for a so-called CNN.
See, and to me, that's a sign, actually, coming from CNN, that's a sign that they are actually panicking. It's like, okay, we are going to lose this. I want to keep my credibility.
Dana Bash, same thing.
Yeah. I'll give you one other thing.
Same thing. All right. Called her on being word salad. And, Terry basically called her a dumb choice as a candidate.
Well, and obviously, she was picked from behind the scenes. And I always point out to people that if you look at the last 4 years, between the fact we had this unconscious cadaver of a so-called president, wasn't making any of the decisions. You remember how many times when he'd get up to a microphone and say something, and then later on we'd get this statement that says the White House clarified what Joe Biden said. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is the White House that's going to actually countermand what he said in front of the microphone? If he's making the decisions,
likely someone from the Obama administration and or directly involved with the Obamas.
Likely Obama himself, actually. We've seen the scenes. I'm sure you've seen the scenes where
you're seeing him right now out there making speeches. The guy's a good speech maker, you got to admit. But
the thing is, he's not connecting with the audience. But you're right.
In regards to this country, if anybody tried to do what he did, which was make healthcare into a couple of armies that he would be in charge of, that would have been facing the United States population as in regard to the going along with the health bill. What that had to do with health is beyond me, but I saw that and I read that, and about a month later I looked for it and it was gone. That's what they were going to do, though.
Well, and that's what they did with the IRS. You remember how he wanted a civilian police force? That was his big dream, is a civilian police force. And then all of a sudden it comes through the IRS.
Yeah.
And again, this is not, Biden didn't have this idea. This is not something that, Biden doesn't know what room he's in. He doesn't know what IRS stands for unless they tell him, on his little teleprompter, which he can barely read. Anyway, all of this to say, we've got a sham government. What are they going to do after the election? the one thing that, again, our side being very unserious in so many ways, unfortunately, the election's over. If Trump has got the votes, if they haven't cheated their way past that, they are not going to say, these are Democrats, they're not going to say, okay, government of the consent of the governed, therefore people pick Trump, let's all try to work together. They demand we work together,
That's
but
why
when it's their turn,
that's why there could be riots. They're saying there's going to be
yeah.
riots if Trump. Okay, fine. Let's go get him. I mean, if you're going to
Well,
do that,
the question is, will our side
pull that again? Don't let
will
him
our
pull
side
that
try to get along at that point? Well, please don't
No.
riot. Okay, let's try to work. We're going to moderate all our stances on everything so we don't make you people mad because we don't want you to riot. That's what they expect from us, and unfortunately, history shows that that's a pretty good gamble on their part because that's how our side reacts, and that's
Sure.
got to change.
Well,
They're
here's
in it to
something,
win.
here's something from New York. New York students, high schools, to walk out to protest men and women's sports.
Yep.
And their intrusions in the locker rooms and the bathrooms of women. Okay.
So just where that started, the most recent wave of that started.
Well, that's Amendment 3 too.
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, this is one of the backdoor things about Amendment 3. You're absolutely right. It has so many things in there. It has the forced, they call it transitioning. I call it hormone poisoning of young kids without parental consent. Amendment 3 is a nightmare. If you're a Missouri voter, you need to know that Amendment 3 will turn Missouri into a leftist sewer if they get it in. That's the goal. Now, back to my question. You know where this latest wave of women, God bless them, standing up against all this trans stuff in sports, you know where it started?
Do I know where it started, standing up to it?
Yeah, this most recent wave. I'm telling you, it's about a month old. It started with the women's volleyball team at the University of, get ready, Wyoming. Okay.
Oh, you
And
son of a gun.
so
you have now outed yourself.
Well, everybody knows that that's where I was born. That's where I lived many years.
You were born in Wyoming?
I was born in Wyoming, born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I can tell you this, I did not vote for Liz Cheney one single time.
Did you date her?
Oh, see, now this is why I don't tell jokes, Dave, because that's really, really harsh.
Oh, come on. Come on. Get over it.
That's painful.
Yeah, oh, golly. You're so easy to hurt. Golly, look at you laughing now.
No, I spent probably from, I'm going to say 1994 until we moved out of there until in 2018. I spent that time actually going after the rhinos in Wyoming because it became obvious.
But that was a question I was going to ask you about. Was you getting rid of all the rhinos? Apparently, or many of them.
No, I wasn't getting rid of them. I was waking people up to them. That's been my main job.
Well, have they been getting rid of them?
They have, and as a matter of fact, again, I always have to have this caveat: barring cheating, what you're going to see on November 5th is a total turnover of the Wyoming legislature from being rhino dominated only a few years ago to now being conservative, pro-American, Christian, patriot dominated. And the rhinos are in as big of a panic in Wyoming as the Democrats are over the Kamala Harris situation.
Did you see Lizzie sitting there with Kamala after she called her everything in the book? Lizzie used to be a Trump person.
Oh yeah,
what happened to her?
Well, I can explain if you want to get into the weeds of how they do that.
Briefly.
Okay, so what happens is when you go into the Senate or the Congress, you can vote on something that makes you look good because you know it's never going to pass.
Right.
And so you're on record as having voted right with all these things. Okay. Look at the number of votes the Republicans took when Obama was president. They took literally dozens of votes to repeal Obamacare. Every time they did, they sent it out on a fundraising letter. We're trying to fight Obamacare. Right. Now, the minute Trump got in there, what did they do? They aren't going to talk about it.
Right.
Okay. And this is how
really
people
want to go.
This is how Liz Cheney and people like her cover themselves because they're voting 94% with Trump when they know that nothing's going to come of it. And then the minute they actually have to stand with him, Mike Pence, his vice president, for 4 years. The minute they have to stand with him, they find a way to weasel out of it.
Yeah.
So where their allegiances really are.
Sure.
And we saw this in the Wyoming legislature, which is like literally, I'm not exaggerating, 90% Republican legislature. And yet so many of them were total rhinos that the state is governed like a bunch of Vermont Democrats.
Yeah. All right, listen, I've got another guest coming on in about 3 minutes. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and buy your book?
Well, I'm still on, they call it X now. It's Twitter. I'm still on there at CG Adamo. Love to talk to you people. And my book is available at Amazon. And I'll tell you what, it is needed now more than ever, because even though they may be out of power, they're still going to be fighting and fighting dirty.
Why were the Vikings good farmers?
Because they were lousy football players?
No.
I tried to make a joke, Dave. I tried.
Are you ready? I'm going to start all over. Thanks for trying. Why were the Vikings good farmers? Norse manure. Norse manure. Horse manure, Norse manure, Norseman. Okay, that's fine. So you did. So you bagged me again. You rotten. You're a rotten guy. No, you're not.
I do my best, but I'll tell you what. Sometimes, okay.
Norse manure. I'm still standing by that joke. Why were the Vikings good farmers? Norse manure.
Have they hired you as a joke writer for Kamala Harris?
Is Norse? No. If that would happen, she'd be headed for the White House here.
Oh.
All right.
Hey, you keep up the great work, sir.
Yeah,
seriously.
Thank you too. Thank you so much. I always enjoy talking to you. You do a lot of preparation work, and you're a smart guy. And you are you're the Dave Weinbaum Show expert on Marxism. So much.
See, there's Jeffrey Bradshaw. I think he's taking my side.
Bradshaw, you're ganging up on me too.
Let's do a poll.
Okay, a groaner is not a bad joke. A groaner is.
You put the punish in pun.
Okay, that's pretty good actually. Did you just make that up?
God bless all.
You can do it all speech long. Next one, use that one. I put the pun in pundit. That's a good one. See, I'm getting these guys thinking. You got to lighten up, man. It's hard to live and not laugh, no matter what you're going through. I mean, you want to do all the things you're talking about, but
we got to win this fight first, sir. We've got.
I get it.
And election day, if we win, it will be just establishing the beachhead.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend.
You too. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thanks a lot. Yes, you may walk here. Thank you. See you, Chris. Bye. All right, Chris Adamo. Do we applaud him?
I applaud his joke.
Oh, good. Yeah, okay.
But
Are you coming back here?
I need to get a second commercial break
right.
anyway. So.
All right, let's do the commercial break. We've got coming up, he's always late, isn't he? Bill Hardwick. And is that right? Yeah. Okay. You can come back.
I'm not ready.
Why?
I'm not ready.
Okay. Let's do the commercials. We'll be back, though. Don't touch the dial or whatever you're using to use this. Computer, whatever, phone. It's nice to know.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate. With millions sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted.
Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest here. Not that he's special, but, sometimes that can be used like, Kamala's special. But no, this guy is top-notch. And he, and I'm having trouble finding his stuff because I know I prepared it. But he is a Missouri State rep. He's a lawyer. He's Iraqi platoon leader. He's a philosopher, a professor. Please welcome all the way from Waynesville, Missouri, Bill Hardwick.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a few
weeks. Welcome back. Yeah, you wanted to talk about what did you think about Donald Trump going to McDonald's?
Did you see that?
I did.
I thought it was genius. I thought it was he was having a good time and he's funny and he was talking to the workers and making it feel good, like you're doing a good job with French fries, and he's being fun to the customers. And I think the more the media replays that, the more you can see him kind of in his element, right?
What they need to show though is the crowds lined up.
Yeah.
As he was driving there, or someone was driving him, but as he was being driven there, I'm telling you, there must have been over 100,000 people watching him drive to the McDonald's.
Yeah, I think it's the contrast too. You could tell he likes people. Yeah. He likes talking to people.
He really does.
He likes talking to the workers. He likes business. And then when you see Kamala Harris interact with people, it's just not natural, right? It seems forced. It seems like she's trying to get through it. She doesn't enjoy engaging with people, and I think that people see that. And I like the media bashing Donald Trump on going to McDonald's is good too. I think because the more MSNBC has a story about it, the more people go back and watch the clip, and they can see he's not a monster. He's not Adolf Hitler. He's this guy who's trying to do right for the country, and he really likes the people in this country.
And then they're watching Kamala, who came out of the shadows of these interviewers like The View, and what's the guy's name on television? I forget. He's a comedian, or says he's a comedian. I can't remember his name. Colbert. That's it.
Stephen Colbert. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's the kind of treatment she gets there, which is like patty cake kind of stuff.
Yeah. Drinking the Milwaukee beer after the hurricane.
Yeah. Going on 2020 or 60. What is that? 60 minutes.
60 minutes. Yeah.
60 minutes, and getting it revised by CBS.
Yeah, the transcript. And so all the media is trying to do their best to protect her, but it's not successful because it's
not working.
Reagan said that, when you get on the national stage, you get that it's the biggest close up ever. People get to see what you're like.
Yeah.
They can see what she's like. There's not something that's coherent. That's resonating.
Well, finally, she nailed down a few big interviews with Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
Dana Bash and Brett Bear, Brett Beer, or Beyer, whatever his name is, and in all three of those, she got nailed. And this is by some of them were the big liberal press, who finally somebody said this that these guys at a certain point have to protect their standard as a journalist because they haven't done it. And I mean, Cooper called her out real bad. Say, hey, you've been the head of the border for 3.5 years. Well, how come you're not doing it right? How come you're not doing what you're saying right now?
Yeah.
How come you're not building the fence?
Yeah, and they can't answer for the record.
Right.
They can't answer for the fact there's no border.
Sure.
She has been the vice president, and you have to be accountable for your record, for this administration's record, which has been terrible on border security, on foreign policy, Ukraine, Israel, China. There's just no defending it. There's no defending what this administration has done and failed to do, and she's got to answer for it. But you can't say, hey, just media protect us, act like things were great, when people in their gut know things have not been great. and then your only campaign strategy theme is to say we hate Donald Trump.
Yeah,
I just
she
don't think
goes
it's gonna
right back
win.
to that all the time.
Yeah, though he's bad. He's bad. He's bad. Well, there are a lot of people who remember their life was pretty good when he was president.
Yeah.
And
See, there's a contrast now. There's a difference between 2016 and now. Nobody really knew Donald Trump just as a.
I didn't know he was going to be
he
like.
He was a billionaire.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that sold me on Donald Trump as a serious candidate was he was debating, and he was debating with Ted Cruz, who is a great lawyer.
Yeah.
Winning 9 cases in the Supreme Court 9 times. 9 times he won in the Supreme Court.
9 times.
I even
times.
replicated it there, and so you could understand that he won 9 times.
Yeah,
and that's a big deal. And I'm seeing Trump make an accusation and had an argument for this great lawyer Ted Cruz, and Cruz had crickets. He couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah,
and I'm saying, you know what? If Cruz can't handle this guy, that's a big deal.
That he's smart. When I got sold on Donald Trump,
was
March 2016. I think it was one of the debates. And I remember watching the moment, and I also remember the media having the exact opposite reaction as me, which was an interesting thing that emerged too. But they were calling out the names of the candidates in the 2016 Republican primary, and Ben Carson couldn't hear it. So he just kind of stood there. And then Donald Trump walks up next to him, and Donald Trump won't go out till Ben Carson gets to go. He defers to him, and the other candidates walk around real smugly. Like Jeb Bush comes up, total jerk on his face, and just kind of walked around him. My brother and I are watching it live. And we're like, look, Donald Trump.
I sort of remember that.
He's like being a good guy to him.
Yeah.
And all the other candidates are kind of like, they're just kind of making sure they get theirs, right?
Yeah.
And we watched that and we were like, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And Jeb Bush is not. And so I just remember that. So whatever he says bluster wise, like I always remember there's something about him that does just kind of does the thing that's like the good thing.
Yes.
Even when they said, will you guys all agree to endorse the nominee?
Yeah.
And everybody raised their hand except for Trump.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
I can't promise
exactly.
something. Well, he got
But
the
it was
nomination.
a popular thing to say.
Yeah, it was the unpopular thing to say, but it was honest. He was like, I don't know what this is going to turn out.
Right.
And then he won the nomination, and most of those guys refused to endorse him.
That's right.
They all went back on their word. Because he didn't promise things. It just watching stuff like that, I was like, he's going to be something different.
Yeah.
Love for Bill on the screen.
What's that?
Comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Holly Jones from Missouri.
Oh, Holly's awesome.
Yeah. She never wants to come on this show, though.
She has her own show.
How come, Holly?
You should invite her.
Oh, I have, I think.
I'll give her your number.
Okay.
After this.
Oh, good.
And you can have her come on.
Bill Hardwick is on. Oh, good. Yeah. All right. And that's from Kathy Sanford Dillon. Love when you have Mr. Hardwick as a guest. I guess you're going formal these days. Is that correct?
Yeah, just call me.
When are you going to start wearing a tux? He's got a Mizzou T-shirt on, okay?
Yeah.
He's not coming in here with a tuxedo.
Just got it straight.
Mister.
He's got it straight for the dry cleaners.
Really?
No.
You dry clean your shirts?
No.
Your T-shirts?
No.
That's all right. Do you ever wash them at all?
I do. They go through the laundry process regularly. Yes.
All right. Well, we're happy about that, So, DOC, I'm not sure what that stands for, but it's a government agency somewhere. And the representative of that refuses to give the results of puberty blockers due to mental health. And in other words, she's afraid that these puberty blockers for transgenders is going to cause a ruckus because they're not supposed to cause difficulties with mental health. Apparently, they've shown difficulties with mental health,
right?
And that comes down in Amendment 3.
Okay.
So let's go backwards into Amendment 3 and what your thoughts are.
Amendment 3, or talk about the puberty blockers. Amendment
Both.
3. We just had a debate on Amendment 3 Monday night in Pulaski County.
And
I debated, arguing that we should vote no on Amendment 3. I think Amendment 3 is the most hideous amendment that we've ever seen in the Missouri Constitution, and I've looked at it, maybe 1,000 times at this point, and I do see viability could be argued to be after, up to birth, after birth. And I do see there's a mental health exception that's nebulous, that anybody could get abortion all 9 months. And I do not think in any way that should be in the Missouri Constitution. And I think that that there's lots of reasons why we can oppose abortion. And for me, it's to say that the life of a baby that's unborn is just as valuable as the life of the person that's been born.
Yeah.
That all life is valuable.
Yeah.
And if we discount the value of any category of human life, we do discount all human life. It's really critical for me. But and I guess I'll go into that for a second to circle back to your first part of your question. But a lot of people there argued that I wanted bad outcomes for mothers, that I wanted people to not have access to healthcare, that not get healthcare for miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There's not a conservative, there's not a pro-life person who doesn't want women to get healthcare treatment, who doesn't want their lives to be saved, who doesn't want doctors to be able to treat people for complications and medical. That is not the case for any conservative in the state. What we're saying is the mother is alive and should be protected, and the baby is alive and should be protected. And so far, we've done 3 town halls in the last 30 days. I did that debate Monday night on Amendment 3. There's not a person to me who's posed an argument that baby is not alive. Not a single person.
Really?
Well, no, and nobody ever has. The argument always is, well, you want women to die. Well, you want ever. Well, these other cases. That's not what we're saying. But why can't somebody say the baby's life should be protected? And that's what it should be. But there's no way we should put abortion in all 9 months in the Missouri Constitution. It's not right. And I've always been pro-life, but this year it's just kind of come into focus, right? Like the lens came into focus that this is just life and death.
I want to do this another time. I want to do it again. The baby. All right. And I want him to be able to see it. Honey, would you turn that around, please? Please. I want him to see the baby thing. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
Let me keep talking, answer your question. I go to something. Okay.
No, keep talking.
So, here, I'll turn it around.
Yeah.
I'll knock all your flags down doing it though.
Oh, you knocked down the Jewish star.
Inadvertent.
I thought he liked me. I thought he liked me.
I do like you.
Yes, I know. Okay.
Unborn baby.
Unborn baby.
Smiles.
He's gonna do that. He's gonna. I want you to see this. This is 3D. This is a baby in the womb, 32 weeks.
That already moved me.
Huh?
I already found that moving. Just the headline.
Yeah, you've never seen this, so have you?
Nenê do pai.
Look at her.
Oh, meu Deus do céu, gente. Ela tá feliz, meu Deus do céu. Bebê. Mas, gente do céu. Nenê do pai.
How that baby is. 32 weeks.
Meu Deus do céu, gente.
And she knows and she's listening to the father. I had this thing. I was in Dallas, and for McDonald's convention. When we came back, we were in the second to the last row on the plane, and there was this baby girl, and the father was holding. It was about 6 feet away from us, and she's going nuts. The little kid, she's screaming and crying and yelling, and the father's trying to, comfort her, and she's doing all sorts of contortions with her body. So finally, I did this. I did what I do before my show. I did this, and I just did, and she started looking at me, and I got her to tone down twice, but I had to redo it. Father never said a word to me. He looked approvingly at me. But at the end of the flight, and we had to wait for a while to get off the plane, I saw her looking at me, and I waved at her, and she smiled and she waved back at me.
Yeah,
that was they can be a pain in the butt, but my God, this is amazing.
Right.
This is amazing.
But all human beings could be a pain in the butt. That doesn't. You're
what?
All human beings can be a pain in the butt.
I've heard you say that about me.
Your value as a person.
Definitely heard her say that about me.
And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Well, as I get older, my value as a person will go away. I won't become valuable when I get to my old age because I won't be able to do anything to everybody." And I'm like, "No, your value as a person isn't dependent on that. You're precious at every single age. The life that you have is sacred in every single stage of your life's development. And so that's just what we're saying is like that life is sacred and precious.
It is.
And I feel like we always say good guys and bad guys.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's the good guys that are trying to protect the babies, and we're trying to protect the mothers.
Yeah.
But who is she the mother of? If we say the word mother, who is she the mother of?
And
we are trying to protect them.
What would these mothers say if they have that kind of cognizance, if their mother tried to abort them in the womb? I mean, what would they say? And what are they going to tell later on to other children they might have?
No, I've seen the memes that say, "Hey, if you're a man, you should butt out," and I
Screw that.
I hear that a lot. But then you could also say, "Well, if you're born, you should butt out."
Well,
if you're
a woman, think about that. Approximately half the babies, the people that are aborted are girls, are women.
Yeah, and I don't say that to mean that I think people should butt out. I'm making the point that we all have a stake in how we treat people.
Yeah,
in society
we're human beings,
and how life, and that's not to say that I don't think we should have compassion and take care of people. I really, really do. I want to make that really clear because there were a lot of arguments that were made Monday night that I just want people to die, and I do not. I don't want people to suffer. I don't want terrible things to happen to people.
That's a very weak argument, I think. It's
And
a real weak argument.
That's the thrust of the argument.
And the
right
women's
now,
health care thing, that's not health care 99.9% of the time. All right. It's not health care. It's whether or not you want to have a baby. Okay. And you're pregnant. And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I haven't heard it say it lately, but you can put a baby up for abortion. Kathy Sanford, Dylan, those parties are evil. But I haven't heard that. What's wrong with that? People who want a baby.
I see Megan's comment. Amendment 3 is evil. That's what I was kind of like. I didn't say that. I've been pro-life. I remember I was at Mizzou when I was a student there, and I got up and I asked a question because they had a debate, and the Democrat representative said, "You could judge a society by how it treats its most vulnerable citizens." And I said, "Wouldn't that be like a baby in the womb that can respond?" And I remember I was in college. They threw their stuff down. The people on the stage threw their pencils and pens, and the crowd just like booed me. I was like 19, and I remember that at the time. No, it's part of the way I am today. Some people go, "Bill, are you really that conservative, or are you just defiant?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a mix, probably."
Well,
like I'm probably just defiant too, but like. Then I was like, okay, these people were nice, but they're just like,
what were they defiant of?
Exactly. So what am I being defiant about? Protecting life. What are you being defiant about? Killing it.
Exactly.
So I think I'm okay where I am. I'd like to be on this side of it where I'm saying that I'm here to stand for protecting life and for the people who could live their life. And and one of the things we talked about at the debate was somebody was saying, well, maybe there's a defect in the baby. Maybe there's this critical issue. And I was telling them, I was talking to my kids about there are these parents and the womb. The doctors identified the baby was missing a huge chunk of his brain. And they said, hey, when the baby's born, it's just going to pass away. You just maybe have a few seconds and that's it. And the parents said, well, let's just see what happens, and we'll hold him as long as we can, and we'll love him as long as we can. And the baby was born. He just continued to live and grew up and became a graduate student, a scientist. And it was a huge breakthrough in neuroscience that the scientists discovered that if you're missing these parts of your brain, these other parts of your brain that weren't supposed to do it could take over those functions.
Wow.
And that person became and made a huge contribution. And they never would have had a life. They never would have breathed or laughed or anything.
Yeah.
And we never would have made those breakthroughs if those parents didn't give the life of the baby a chance.
I'm telling you, there's probably a lot of women. And I talked to one on the radio. One of the first times I got on the radio in San Diego. And they had me on because I wrote some pro-life columns in the Jewish World Review. And this was a liberal station, all right? So they wanted to mock me. And I had a few mocking calls and stuff like that. And finally a woman gets on. She says, how dare you do this? I says, really? So tell me about your abortion. She told me about it. And I says, so it's been a while. How do you feel about it now? There was a big pause on the radio. And she said, I'm ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed. I miss her or him so much. and it's hard to deal with my other children about where this person is that I had killed. And the guy, the producer, was so so taken that he said, "Next caller."
Oh wow,
that's what he said.
Sometimes people don't know how to process that.
But
And,
my God.
So
yeah,
my oldest stepdaughter.
Read this. Yes.
My she was given a 2% chance of life.
Yeah.
And the doctors told my wife to abort her because she probably wouldn't live anyway. If she did, she'd be a vegetable. She had an encephalocele, which meant most of her brain was outside of her head. They do the next scan, and all but one small pocket had been put back in, which they said couldn't happen. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's your source for God right there, because they said medically it is where it is. She's turning 18 in February. Yeah, she's a little bit slower on some stuff, but she's a full functioning adult.
That's great. Megan Johnson, I got to get in with Megan Johnson here. Amendment 3 is pure evil. How can you claim something is advocating for women when the amendment doesn't even mention the word woman?
Yeah.
Vote no on Amendment 3.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
It doesn't have the word woman. I was noticing that. It does. It can't say mother, because mother would imply you're the mother of something.
Yeah.
It doesn't say woman, because there's a lot of reasons why we've erased the idea of what it is to be a woman from the left.
Yeah.
So it says person, but it says a person has a right to a fundamental right to abortion care, but also says a person has a fundamental right to prenatal and postnatal care. So I thought about if the law passed, just pass it a law saying the baby is a person, because they have a fundamental right to care too.
Yeah.
So what about their bodily autonomy and care?
If you kill a pregnant woman, and tell me if I'm wrong, and the baby dies too, you've got 2 felonies against you.
Yeah,
double murder.
Yeah,
is that right?
So yeah, there was a person who said the Old Testament, which first in the same argument they said, Bill, get religion out of it, quit religion. Which I just said, hey, for the religion part, I'm not saying I'm trying to impose it on anybody. I'm saying we got to be compassionate, but I think God wants us to have life, and He's the one who gave us life.
Bingo.
But He said in the Old Testament endorses abortion, and there's a phrase in
where
it doesn't. It does not. There's a phrase that Jesus said, "You've heard an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth," and that phrase does come from the Old Testament, when the law was that if there was an unwanted pregnancy and the man he beat the woman, the mother, till she had an abortion, that in the Old Testament they gave the man the death penalty for that.
Oh, okay.
And that was a law that said you have to protect that life. And then people took that out of context to say that it's okay to take revenge. And that's what Jesus was saying. He's saying, we're not taking revenge, turn the other cheek. But the law came from, there's a life inside the mother, and you can't hurt her.
Holly Jones, abortion on demand for minors with 0 parental consent. That's right. And also they want to make it to where if I gave you an aspirin, I could be considered a health guy, a health taker. You'd make recommendations to have a kid take transgender tests, and I could be the health guy and you couldn't stop me as a parent.
Yeah, the doctor's not defined. It's so poorly worded. Anybody could be a provider. Just like see Holly mentioned on there, no lawsuits.
Yeah.
There's no adverse action for anybody. So if there's a terrible thing that happens,
and
the woman is injured in the procedure, there's not a recourse under the law. And people have said the appellate courts have ruled on it. They haven't. What the Supreme Court did is they just rewrote the ballot language to make it seem like it's favorable. They rewrote the ballot language to make it seem like it's moderate.
Right.
But it's not moderate. It's very extreme.
Well, here's Holly Jones. The language was written to be so vague and leave full interpretation to the judiciary. No one is protected. Immunity for healthcare professionals, whatever that means, for any malpractice. So there you go. All right. So, and also Holly Jones, the mental health crisis this will cause is immense. And I couldn't agree more. And guess what? We have our next guest coming. You want to hang out?
Yeah, hang out for a few minutes.
It's our old friend, the McCloskeys.
Mark McCloskey.
Mark McCloskey, although I don't see his lovely wife there. That's not good. All right. So we're gonna take a little pause to actually introduce this gentleman, and I'm using that word very, very scarcely there. These 2 people, one of them is missing, however. Apparently one of them is actually working, these two brave Americans stood down 350 BLM and Antifa, led by Cori Bush, former congresswoman or congressman, and protected their home and their lives, one with a pistol, one with a rifle. Please welcome all the way, I think from St. Louis, Mark McCloskey.
Whoa, the audience members.
I mean, all right, come on.
Enthusiasm.
I don't have the money to pay you overtime. Go easy on me. So where's Pat?
She's actually like paying the bills here.
There you go.
Going to work as a lawyer. You know,
so you sent her out. Says you got to go make some money. I'm talking to Dave.
Well, you know, if I spent every penny that I've made as a pundit for the last 4 years, I could almost go to McDonald's for lunch.
Oh God, thanks. Yeah, right. And we have Bill Hardwick here.
Hey, Mark.
Him, don't you?
Yeah, hi Bill. How you doing?
Yeah, good to see you.
He's going to hang out. You and Pat, I noticed, have a beautiful harvest from your garden.
Yeah, you know, we've been we're in anticipation that no matter which way the election goes a week from Tuesday, there may be some civil unrest. So we've been preparing to be independent. We've got a big vegetable garden. We've been canning and pickling, and we've got our chickens laying eggs, and hopefully we don't have to eat our chickens. And we've got geese and generators and all kinds of stuff. Should the fit hits the sham.
Are you predicting something here? Seriously?
Well, I'm not necessarily predicting it. I can tell you, Victor Davis Hanson, for whom I've got great respect.
Yeah, I've had him on my show.
Yeah, he predicts that if Trump wins, the left's not going to give up easily. And
I agree.
And there's going to be some kind of general civil unrest. That Adam Schiff and his ilk will be passing legislation. Let's say worst case scenario, we lose a House and the Senate. They get sworn in on January 5th, and then we've got 15 days of President Biden, if his brain isn't in a box by then, with a Democrat Congress. They could do horrible things to us in those 15 days.
Well, there's a lot. That's a scary thought right there. Thank you for making half our audience sick, or maybe 3/4 of our audience sick. Anyway,
as always, on the bluebird of happiness and the ray of sunshine in a dreary day.
Yes. Talking about all this nastiness, do you know what Trump said? I think it was yesterday. He said that he would pardon Hunter Biden. Okay? Talk about a guy who has every reason not to. But then again, if you look back to the 2016 election, where Hillary said that it was a Russian hoax, he didn't go after her either.
Well, that's because he's a Nazi. You got to remember that he wants to burn down the country because he's just this vindictive, nasty fascist, right? And that's why we have to. Yeah, we have to preserve democracy from this fascist by electing somebody that got absolutely no votes and was appointed by the Democrat Party.
And her herself is saying that they have to do something about our misinformation.
Yeah.
All right. Which means they have to take punishment to people who are talking, and they may not like it, and they may call it misinformation.
What I love is this party, which for 3.5 years has been identifying right-wing extremism as the greatest threat to our democratic process. Those of us that have been out there defending the Constitution and individual liberty are the real threat to our democracy. Whereas for that 3.5 years, they've been labeling us as the enemy within. And now, what's their talking point? Donald Trump's talking about an enemy within, which they've been doing for the whole 3.5 years.
You got a question you want to ask him?
No, I think that's exactly right. I'm so sick. I'm fed up of conservatives being called Nazis when conservatism is the exact opposite of it. We want limited government, freedom, individual rights. We want religious freedom. We want the government not to be able to intrude in our lives. We want free speech. We want people to be judged on their actions, right? I think we're just the exact opposite, and it's just a tired argument. And to me, it shows that, when you run out of all the other things you have to do, you just roll back out the fascist argument and hope it sticks.
But this is what they are acting like. This is what they're acting
Yeah, it's
like.
projection.
They're projecting their own behavior.
Yeah. Well, it's the way I start my radio program every Sunday. You know, the major premise of my program is that everything you hear in the mainstream media and from the deep state is an intentional lie. And if you believe 180 degrees from what you're told, you're pretty close to the mark.
So
here's the thing, right? So what's Kamala Harris's democratic process? She wants to outlaw free speech, and she wants to engage in wage and price controls. What do we call this? We call this communism.
Right.
And and why can't she answer a question? Because she's honest enough not to lie about the fact that she wants to have this socialist government, but she can't actually come out and say she does because she knows she can't possibly win if she tells the truth. And so she's stuck in this conundrum where she has to blither on for 7 minutes to a 1 minute question and hope nobody pays attention to what was actually asked by the time she gets done with their non-answer.
Well, here's the box she put herself in. When asked about how she got along with Biden and did she know about his problems, his mental problems, she says, no. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. He's perfectly fit. And so then the other question that begged the question is, so
why'd you replace
why
him?
are you the candidate and not him? She didn't have an answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, not being able to tell that Joe Biden is
downhill.
Yeah. Well, I've been given the same speech now for 4 years or 3.5 years. And at some point, I always mention that Kamala Harris is the stupidest human being ever elected to high office. And that always gets the biggest response from every audience I'm talking to. And here you got the woman who's incapable of answering a question, incapable even after, however many months now that she's been the anointed candidate, not being able to form a reasonable answer to obvious questions that she knows she's going to get asked. And she'll take a day off to get prepared for an interview where the number of questions she's going to get asked is very limited, and she should know they're all coming, and she's unable to answer that question. Here we have an unelected, appointed candidate for the presidency of the United States who can't answer a direct question even after days of preparation, who always is recognized until she gets nominated by the Democratic Party to be the presidential candidate, recognized to be the stupidest human being on the planet. And now she stands a 50-50 chance of becoming president of the United States. What kind of a world is this?
Well, that's that. And you know what? She doesn't seem bothered by the fact that she can't answer tough questions. She didn't. Somebody said, "Oh, well, she must feel terrible." I think she's just happy with the fact that she got nominated with no votes.
Yeah,
I mean,
because that's how you save democracy.
Biden had 14 million votes, and she got zippity doodah. How does Joe Biden feel about this kind of democracy? I think he's really pissed off. Do you not?
Yeah.
Well, huh? It should have been. Everybody's telling him. Everybody in the MSM, you're great, Joe. You don't listen to this stuff that anybody can have a bad debate and all that stuff. You're in great shape, blah, blah, blah. And then within 24 hours, he's no longer the candidate.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that's concerning, of course. We have created a situation where we're potentially minutes away from World War III. The Koreans are now directly involved. North Koreans are directly involved in the war in Ukraine. We've got the war in the Middle East spiraling out of control. And you can kill the head, but unless you kill everybody that is involved in the organization, it's like the Hydra. New heads will appear. And every important person you kill, 5 people are vying to take his place. You got an incredibly volatile world. You've got a man who, when he shows up now, Joe Biden, is so senile he can barely speak. And when he does, he whispers. And how terrified must the rest of the world be of the United States right now? And they've been doing war games about Chinese invasion of Taiwan, and no matter how they play it, we lose. And so, imagine a situation after November 5th, where Trump gets elected, but he can't take power until January 20th, and you've got an absolutely incompetent person in the White House. The White House is being run. He had a cabinet meeting for the first time in 11 months. Yeah. And after 2.5 minutes, he turned it over to his wife. I don't remember voting for his wife.
You didn't see that little thing that was right next to him in the ballots.
Dr. Joe, President of the United States.
See, you didn't even look on the Democratic side. I know you.
Yeah.
So Biden has said a couple days ago about Trump. He said, "Lock him up."
Yeah.
Then he said, "Lock him out." Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Politically, he said, somebody buzzed in his ear in one of those earbuds saying, "You can't say that, Joe. You have to take that back." So he said, politically.
How much do you think the country's being run by the ex-Obama administration and Barack Obama himself?
I think the permanent government's a permanent government, and I think the lesson to be learned from a number of things, from the fact that we've never known for the last 3.5 years who actually is acting as president of the United States, from the fact that when Lloyd Austin and Joe Biden both go absent for 11 days last year or earlier this year, I can't remember when it was, and nobody noticed. The message is the real government works regardless of who your elected and appointed officials are, and that'll be just fine. I think I kind of had a revelation yesterday when I was thinking about this. Why are there no debates? Why is there one presidential debate, one vice presidential debate, and why is Kamala Harris not doing any interviews? Because then the media tells people what to think. The candidates are now irrelevant. When I started running for Senate, Bill, I don't know what it's like, running on state level stuff, but I can tell you that in my one experience as a politician, the first thing I learned was that the political consultants are there, A, to strip you of as much money as humanly possible, and B, to promote themselves in the future. They think the actual candidate is fungible and irrelevant because they run the campaign and they don't care who the candidate is. They just want to have a success so they can put it in their box of successful campaigns for advertising themselves for the next campaign. And it's really, when you think about, and I don't know what any of you feel about G.W. Bush, but when you got him running against Al Gore, and you got one guy who is too stupid to get in any law school in the country, and another guy who is so stupid he flunked out of law school. Think of the stupidest human being who is in fact a lawyer, and then think about the two people running for president, neither of which could make it through law school or even in. And you've got to wonder about who really runs this country.
Well, I did a comment from you. I know that.
No, a lot to impact there. I think I think Mark is exactly right that this system, there's a system that just kind of promotes itself, and it really disfavors anybody who's going to disrupt it or change it. It's very, very resistant to somebody like a candidate like Mark that had ideas that weren't kind of spoon-fed to him and said, this is the way things ought to run. I think that the consultants do that. They want to promote themselves. I think that Joe Biden hasn't been in charge of this country. I think that somebody like Donald Trump represents somebody who's a change agent and disrupting that system. That's why they fired every single thing they can to take him out. And what Mark described was pretty scary to me too, that interim period before Trump takes office where the deep state can do a whole lot of damage through the Joe Biden administration. But there is one scenario that's scarier to me than that, which is 4 more years of that administration. Yeah. So I think that interim period, as dangerous as it is what we have to get through to get to the possibility of Trump cleaning house in the deep state.
Yeah. And by the way, talking about effective presidents, you've got 2 of them that are non-lawyers, Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I'm sorry amongst the lawyers here.
Abraham
but
Lincoln.
You badmouthed everybody else who couldn't make it through law school. I haven't been through law school. I sell hamburgers for a living. And quite frankly, I am insulted by you seeing me as a non-lawyer.
Well, I'll say this. When I started,
you guys are lawyers. Deal with me, okay?
Well,
come on, I'm walking out. No,
when I started law school, I looked around and I said, "Wow, this is the worst looking group." It's a mutual admiration society for people with gross character flaws. And I thought, I can't imagine a worse group of people than these law students until I became a lawyer, and I started seeing a worse group of people, the ones that actually were practicing. So.
You're coming off of that pretty quick.
It's
right?
not a club I fit in with. I mean, I think I passed did the LSAT, did the bar, went to law school, learned a lot, but it wasn't my scene. It wasn't my social circle. They're a different culture, and there's a different, we know better than everybody that I just didn't fit in with. So I'm glad I'm a lawyer. It gave me a lot of tools.
But a lot of them are arrogant and they're overwhelmed with themselves. And that's true with some. I've been to court a lot of times.
But there's like it's part of the
And
ruling
just,
class, part of the judicial class, and it's also what people kind of despise. But
but who is running the country? Is it the
Yeah.
CIA? Is it the FBI? The DOJ? I mean, who is it that is actually giving the orders out to do things? We know it's not Joe, and we know it's not Kamala. So who is running the show?
Well, I'll tell you, my thing I always bring up, this is during the first or second Bill Clinton election. National television, public television, was doing a documentary on fundraising, and the premise was that the big money donates to everybody, right? They don't care because they're going to control no matter who gets elected. But the last person they interviewed is Robert Strauss, who was then the Republican ambassador to the Soviet Union, and his wife then, or his sister, was a Democrat mayor of Dallas, where I was living at the time. And they're sitting out on his back porch, and he looks directly at the camera and he says, "You got to remember, those of us that really run things know each other, and we were all pretty good people." He says, we learned a long time ago that the right people all think the right way. You got to remember, this is just an election for president. The country's going to do just fine. We'll take care of that." And that's, the most telling thing you can possibly do.
The people don't matter.
Yeah, people don't matter.
How do you feel right now? Do you feel like we're taking care of just fine? Is this just fine for us now?
I mean, you got BlackRock buying up. The goal, of course, is Klaus Schwab's concept of you will own nothing and be happy, with the unspoken result of or else, right? But they want to disenfranchise everybody. They want to make everybody a poor, ignorant, brainwashed population is easily controlled and can be used to generate the funds to make the uber rich, and uber powerful. We are quickly transforming this country into medieval Europe, except that they won't need the castle walls anymore because they've all been turned into sheep.
Yeah, feed them. We're getting a preview of what happens when the deep state runs everything. How many wars are we fighting right now? How unstable is the planet? How is the dollar being destroyed? How are people living? How is it easier for people to live their lives or harder? A country where the people don't have any say and the smart people, I say in quotes, in DC run everything, is a devolution of the entire planet in our country.
Yeah. And a lot of people I know are selling their businesses and leaving the country. And the question is, where do you go if the United States falls? What's going to support freedom any place? I mean, this is our last stronghold.
That's right. And so let's talk a little bit about Trump and his these Democrats who have suddenly switched over to him, and Nikki Haley too, and that would be John or Robert Kennedy and Elon Musk. These are very interesting people, and Gabby,
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
I mean, these are smart people, and Gabbard has turned completely now into a Republican. And so if he gets elected and he gets through the inauguration period to actually become the president, Musk wants to get in there and get rid of about 80% of the institutions in this country. And you could see a big revolution of us between the world champions, the one world concept.
Yeah, well, when he took over Twitter, he fired 80% of the people the first day, and Twitter seemed to do just fine. Everybody's now talking about
right now. They're preventing me from following anybody, and have for the last 3 weeks.
Really?
And they've taken away followers. Yes.
Well, the problem is, and Patty and I talk about this all the time. You got to worry about single issue Republicans, people that are really Democrats at heart, people that really think that the big state should rule everything, and they really think they're smarter than the average person. But they've got a single topic, like Tulsi Gabbard on war, like Elon Musk on Twitter freedom, which he's now. A lot of people that are getting banned on Twitter or X now. But you got to worry about people that come in and say, "Look, I'm going to be a Republican now." Look at RFK Jr. He on a lot of his positions, he's very far to the left.
Yes.
Are they just trying to maintain control? Have they put on that sheep's clothing for one election cycle? you got to be very concerned about that.
Interesting. Oh, they could turn into rhinos real easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we got enough of those, don't we? Enough rhinos.
Yeah.
I'll take RFK Jr. over Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney, though.
Yeah.
You can have Taylor Swift. You can have them. I'll take RFK.
How about Romney?
Yeah.
Oh, Romney.
Come on.
We'll take people who at least are for this country.
Yeah.
And that speech that RFK Jr. gave when he announced that he was endorsing Trump, that was one of the most amazing things I've heard from a politician in my lifetime. I listened to the whole thing about 4 times. And the fun thing, though, when you're watching it on Fox, when he shifts to the pharmaceutical companies, Fox turned him off.
Big Pharma is like the most powerful thing. I didn't appreciate it till I was in office. Big Pharma has like so much money. They're so powerful.
Yeah.
And they try to squash anybody who stands up against them, but we have to.
Yeah.
They're responsible for a lot of mass murder in this country based on government direction to go get a shot.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. But the thing that the light bulb went off when I was, I think this was RFK that said this, that the reason why pharmaceutical companies advertise on Fox and all the networks isn't to try to sell product to human beings, it is to make the media beholden to the pharmaceutical companies. Their income comes from the pharmaceutical ads. They don't care if anybody actually directly buys a product because what they're buying is a network.
It's a buy-off. Yeah.
It's addiction.
Yeah.
You get addicted to the money.
Let's switch to illegal migrants. How would you handle this if you were Trump?
Me?
No, I'm talking to your wife, Pat. Call her up.
No, we're up at the Republican convention, and I'm sitting in the lobby of a hotel, and Tom Homan walks in, right?
Yeah,
and he looks over at Patty and me, points at her and says pistol. Looks over at me and says rifle. And I said, Tom, how long is it going to take for you to fix the border? And he said, well, the president wants me to do it in 60 days, but it'll take 90.
Yeah.
And I mean, the bottom line is you just cut out all the crap. You enforce the laws that are actually on the books.
Yeah.
And
what are you going to do about the people that are already here?
Well, I like the concept. Don Jr. said this the other day, as did the president. You start with the people that are known criminals. 13,000 known murderers illegally in the country. I mean, do you remember back in the GHW Bush Michael Dukakis election? Willie Horton, one guy gets let out of prison, commits a murder, and it tanks the campaign of Michael Dukakis. Now we've got murder.
Yeah, of course. Wait, wasn't he the guy that was in the tank?
Yeah, and Dukakis's policies let him out and he kills somebody.
Oh yeah. Well, that doesn't. Those are the old days, I guess.
We're so immune to it now. I mean, people are getting murdered.
He says he's going to get the bad guys out first. Okay. Yeah. But how's he going to find them all? And I mean, is that what the guy you were talking to, Tom, said? Is that or is he just referring to the border?
No, he was specifically referring to the border, but I've talked to him about it in detail, and they will track, and they, like you just said, they will focus on known criminals first, and then they'll expand the program. But just in every state now where they're passing out driver's licenses to illegals, who then use those driver's licenses to register to vote. Yeah. And we have Constitutional Amendment number 7 on the ballot here in Missouri, which is going to make part of our Constitution that you have to be an American citizen to vote.
Yeah.
What wouldn't that be the most basic thought that everybody would have?
Yeah.
Can I go to Germany and vote in their elections? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, of course it's ridiculous. So, I mean, that's one amendment I saw that was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I'll take 2 minutes of your airtime to come out and say we all need to vote against Amendment 3, which is the abortion amendment.
Nightmare.
In 1977, I got certified as an audiometric technician, meaning I give hearing tests. If you read Amendment 3, anybody who is a healthcare provider, if he says it's in the interest of the physical or mental health of the woman, that abortion can be done at any time up to including birth, and then it says postpartum. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean you have a right to decide the fate of your child after it's born?
You're killing the baby after birth. Yes.
But as a certified audiometric technician from 50 years ago, I, under that statute, would have the right to authorize an abortion up to the moment of birth.
No, not unless you gave me an aspirin.
Yeah.
If you gave me an aspirin, then you'd be qualified.
If you look at the language of the statute, and then you pull up the statute under the medical malpractice litigation, which is what I do for a living, under the definition of what a healthcare professional is, it says, are anyone certified in any field? Well, I'm certified. I'm an audiometric technician. I took a 2-hour course in 1977. And under that statute, it is so broadly and badly written that I could authorize an abortion up to the last day.
You know, I heard you were certifiable. Is what I heard.
Question.
Yeah. I mean, that says nothing about health. It says nothing about a health worker. I thought it did.
No, a healthcare professional. But you look it up, and the definition of
Johnson,
that
it's sick.
Yeah,
it's sick. Yeah, it is sick. You're right. There's another big one there for Megan Johnson. Gender neutral language could constitutionally allow children to undergo gender reassignment surgeries and abortions without parental notification or permission. Taxpayer dollars could be used to fund these procedures. There would be no way to pursue criminal prosecution or civil penalties for anyone who performs, assists, or supports these services. The list of concerns go on. That's good, well-written little comment.
And
let me say this is just kind of on this. Well, Bill knows this because he's in Missouri politics. It's against the law in Missouri for a person to get a tattoo under the age of 18 without parental consent. In Tampon Tim's home state, it's a person under 18 can't get a tattoo under any circumstances with parental consent, but there's a statute that makes it a crime to prohibit a minor from getting an abortion, and to make it a crime if the parents attempt to stop a child from getting an abortion. And so you can't let them drink, you can't let them drive, you can't let them smoke, you can't let them get tattoos, but by God, they should determine the life or death of human beings.
There you go. All right, one last thing. In 1970, less than 1% got government aid. In 2000, 10% got government aid. 2022, 53% were on charity. What does this say to you?
Well, you know, it's what Bill said earlier. It's an addiction. You get people addicted to the government. And, you know, one of the problems with democracy broadly is that once the inmates learn they can vote themselves the institution, then democracy fails. And you get everybody hooked on government. You get once 51% of the population actually goes out and votes to line their own pockets, regardless of where the money comes from. That's the end of everything. And that's it.
That's right. We want people not dependent on government. We want people free. We want people raising their families. We want people living their own lives. And that are opposed to us want people addicted to their source of sustainment, ultimately, so I think they can control them. And that's a big part of what we're fighting against.
What are you supposed to do with this, honey?
We need to make an announcement about Megan and Pastor Pat's event next Friday.
Please do it.
It's Make Libraries Safe Again, Protecting Our Children. It's regarding the graphic and explicit content that's in the libraries in the children's section.
Yeah.
They're going to watch a documentary, and then they're also going to provide information on the upcoming Rolla Public School Board election. And that's going to be held at City of Light and Life Ministries, Friday, November 1st at 6:30 p.m. That's 13915 Old Route 66. And I have posted the links on the Dave Weinbaum Show page and on my personal page.
Other than dw.net, where can people find and hire you, sir?
Me at McCloskeyLaw.com. You can see my X feed at McCloskey USA. I'm on Facebook, but Facebook, when I would get 1 million hits on X, I can put the same thing on Facebook and get 25, not 2,500, 25. So we're pretty well canceled on Facebook. It's just ridiculous. So, but McCloskeyLaw.com, and I got to tell you, somebody's got to pay the bills around here, which is why I'm on the Dave Weinbaum Show and my wife is working.
Why did the Boa's wife leave? He was too restricting. Okay. I'll be back with another edition of Dave Weinbaum Show next week. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
See ya.